The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting, "Pigs in a blanket," talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Isn't it wonderful to allow protest?
He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. And I resent the like him. I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about, I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged. That's not true. It wasn't
Cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Bottom line, the American dream, the great American dream versus being a socialist hellhole.
And by the way, I don't think that's some grand conspiracy. I think this is sort of what power is. I mean this at a sort of high level.
Not good. Believe me, not good. They had a very bad original concept. It was carried out poorly, and the cover-up was one of the worst in the history of cover-ups. There's some bad deal, should have never been thought of. Somebody really messed up, and they had the worst cover-up ever. And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint when they thought about it, because whoever thought of that idea, I think, is in big trouble.
Hello, users. Hello users. Hey, how's it going? Okay, so this is like, this is like the worst episode ever. This is like the whole world is broken edition of Above It All. For whatever reason, and I cannot discern this reason, I cannot figure out this reason, however, for whatever reason, my CPU right now is running at 99, 100, okay, 98. I'm running at 98% CPU load for whatever reason. I believe I'm being hacked. I'm being compromised. Something's going on. It's not good, folks. I just closed Discord and now I'm running at 30%. Discord, Why are you doing this to me, Discord? 70% of my processing. Oh, 80%. Okay, I'm now... Okay, anyway. I guess we're fine? Alright. Discord was the problem. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episodic installation of Above It All for November 22nd, 2020. I know this year is still here, but it's almost over. So I'm going to read the chat room. Hello, chatters. Hello. Yo soy Danny. Is this first twice in a row? Oh my. Hello, Ox Imbeciles. Hello, JL. Hello, Cloud. Hello, Nicholas Nordland. Hello, Will D. Hello, Cotton Balls. Hello, Bodan. And hello, Ronnie. Discord was glitched. I guess this... I don't know what's going on. I've never had that issue before. So, just started happening, like, literally, like, I'm ready, and then, like, all of a sudden, I click a different tab, right? And it's like, oh no! Oh no! It's taking 30 years to load! And then, okay, and then I figured it out. Hello, Rocker6883. Hello, Byron M. Welcome to the broadcast. So, I've got some stuff here that I'm going to be talking about. Of course, got to drink my soy first. My caffeinated soy product, of course, needs to be consumed as soon as possible. And that is actually just now. That is as soon as possible was actually just now. I just consumed it. It's been consumed. So I think we're good now. I think I'm healthy. I think I'm healthy. So yeah, anyway, sorry, I got caught off guard this morning with the thing that I mentioned. But it seems to be good. I think we're good now. So, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you ain't gonna fool me again. So, I've got like a smorgasbord. This is like one of those things, you know, like today is just one of those days. By the way, today is Sunday. Sunday Run Day will be today. Usually I start around 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, if you were to look at your watch, which I don't have, because I'm poor, I can't afford a fucking watch, I just use my cell phone, hello? But if you were to look at your watch, that would be about, I don't know, like 6 hours from now, 5, whatever. Anyway, so that's going to be happening. Did we see the soy, Cloud says? We got some soy right here, caffeinated soy product. Love to see it. No Eastern European time, this is Eastern United States time, Bodan. Hello, Kawaii-chan. Welcome to the broadcast. All right, so again, I've got like a and I'm just gonna do it. I've got like a smorgasbord, right? Is that how you say that word, smorgasbord? I've got like a smorgas. I've got like, you know, like I went to a buffet once, right? And you go into the buffet, and then there's just like table upon table upon table of just like mac and cheese. You got pizza. I put my mac and cheese on my pizza, and then I dipped it in barbecue sauce. Like, I've got like a smorgasbord of cringe today, and it's actually very appropriate because the smorgasbord of cringe is related to Thanksgiving. And so the right wing, also known as the Reich wing, has been they've been doing this thing for the past couple days, and Ted Cruz tweeted this out like last night. And I can't, dude, I can't. So, okay, I don't know if I want to blow my load pretty early here, but there is going to be a Daily Dullard, and I'm sorry, but today's Daily Dullard, Ted Cruz is saying come and take it, but Ted Cruz isn't even today's Daily Dullard. Here's Charlie Kirk. This is a couple days ago, but I just caught wind of this because Ted Cruz posted this. And then I caught wind of this. Here's today's Daily Dullard. Today's Daily Dullard, Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk, he's going to be talking about here how the left hates Thanksgiving. I'm a leftist. I'm a radical Antifa. Look at my fucking flag. I've got radical flags behind me. Antifa, the tranny flag, right? You know, I'm drinking soy on webcam. I'm going all out. But my point is, right? What does Charlie Kirk have to say about the left? I'm the left. Let's see.
The left has always hated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving can be
This the audio quality here is not good, folks. Not good.
the left has always hated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving can be interpreted as a religious holiday if you believe in giving thanks to a creator.
Now, I just want to say, as a leftist, I am, of course, extremely dissatisfied with the idea that Thanksgiving is a religious holiday. I've been participating in the war on Christmas for a couple years now. I'm a veteran. I've got my Purple Heart from the war on Christmas. So I just want to say, I am, without a doubt, as a leftist, I'm an atheist, right? I don't believe in religion. I think the idea that you're tying Thanksgiving to religion, that only makes me not want to support it even more. That makes me, like I wasn't even thinking about doing a war on Thanksgiving. You know, I'm still building armaments for the war on Christmas. But, the idea that you're going to make Thanksgiving a religious holiday, I don't know. I feel like we need to do a preemptive strike here. Thanksgiving's next week. I feel like we've got enough time for a preemptive strike, but that's just me, so.
If you believe in giving thanks to a creator. But they hate Thanksgiving because they believe there is nothing you should be thankful for in America. This is an awful place.
That's correct. This is correct. Charlie Kirk right now with the spot-on analysis.
This is an awful place. It is cancerous, rotten to the core. Tear it all down. Burn it from within.
Yep.
Why would you be thankful? Instead, we need a revolution.
That is correct. That, again, Charlie Kirk here, I may have given Charlie Kirk, so a rough time recently, and previously, but Charlie Kirk here is actually giving a pretty well thought out analysis. Thanksgiving is about thanking people, and if you thank people, then you can't burn it all down, right? You have to do one or the other. Either you eat a bunch of unhealthy food with your family, or you burn down the country. Those are binary options. There is no middle ground. Obviously, that's correct. Duh.
Remember, as the Students for a Democratic Society radicals once wrote in the 1960s, they said, conflict is the origin of everything. What happens when you're thankful? By definition, you're less likely to be involved and engaged in conflict.
Okay, so I was with Charlie for a little bit here, old Charles. So let me listen to this again. If I understand this correctly, okay? The idea that he's saying is the left is against Thanksgiving because if we have Thanksgiving, we will be thankful and therefore we can't protest afterward. So I guess what the idea here is that all the turkeys or whatever, I'm a vegetarian, so I'm not even going to eat turkey, so I'm sorry about that. Sorry about your luck, Charlie. But all the turkeys out there, I guess, have been injected with some sort of hormone or chemical that makes people have a less likelihood of protesting or burning down the country. I'm not quite sure, as far as I understand, people need to eat, right? And Thanksgiving is a holiday about eating with your family. That's what I understand, right? It's soup with my family, right? As President Trump said. It's just soup for my family. It's Thanksgiving. But the idea here is that Thanksgiving somehow means that we can't organize and protest. If anything, Thanksgiving makes organizing and protest way easier. We're meeting up with our family. We've got soup for our family. All right, let's eat and let's strategize about how to take on the government. That's my Thanksgiving. But I mean, let me listen to that again to make sure.
They said conflict is the origin of everything. What happens when you're thankful? By definition, you're less likely to be involved and engaged in conflict. Thanksgiving is supposed to de-escalate any sort of pre-existing issues in our country.
Can I just say, I really love how Charlie looks at the notes. He has to, look at his eyeballs, right? Charlie has to check his notes for every single word. That's how you can tell. I don't have any notes for my show. If you've watched any of my shows, I've got news for you. I never take notes. Now, is that something to be proud of? I'm not sure. But Charlie is, in between every word. He's checking his notes. He's and the left? Conflict? And it's, Charlie, I don't know. If this guy's getting millions of dollars, I feel like he can do better.
Thanksgiving is supposed to de-escalate any sort of pre-existing issues in our country.
I love it.
And now they're using the virus as an excuse for you not to be thankful. We'll be right back.
I can't, dude. This, I'm sorry. I just want to remind everyone that Charlie Kirk's co-founder of TPUSA died of this virus. Like, like imagine like your like best friend or your mentor or like a father figure in your life dies, and then you go out there and say, yeah, it doesn't, yeah, sure, one of my best friends died, whatever. The left hates Thanksgiving. But again, I'm here to say that a lot, like the first half of that sounds pretty right to me. Like, Thanksgiving should be destroyed. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a colonizing holiday that mythologizes a cartoonish version of American history, right? I talked about this the other day, right? It's fine if you want to eat with your family. I've got soup for my family. We're good. I'm definitely not going to throw it at a cop's head or anything. It's soup for my family, of course, right? But the idea that, like, Thanksgiving is like, oh, the Pilgrims, and then they made friends with the Native American people, and they were best friends, and they totally didn't commit a genocide, and they were best friends, and we need, like, that is just like, it's literally fake news. Like, it's a mythology, and this is something, and again, this is my kind of thing that I would like to talk about when I discuss these right-wingers, and let's go back to Ted Cruz here, the come and take it. It's like, dude, okay, Ted Cruz, like, this is the, like, take what? What is the left taking? I really just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand this idea that it's the, like, there's a pandemic that is affecting every single human on the planet, yet all of these social, like, gatherings that are going to be, like, decreased, like, that's the left? Like, I just, like, Donald Trump is president, dude. Like, is Donald Trump the left? Why doesn't Donald Trump issue a national executive order to say that everyone must visit their family for things? Like, what? Like, I don't understand this idea that you can, like, oh, global warming? The left. It's the left. Right? Those ice caps melting, it's not because of our oil pipelines. It's the left. Everything that, the weather, oh my god, it's raining, it must be the left. It's windy today, oh my goodness, the wind blew down a tree, I guess the left is at it again. The idea of blaming the left for, like, just acts of nature is just so bizarre, right? And again, Charlie Kirk is accurate. I do hate Thanksgiving, right? As far as I'm concerned, if there is a Thanksgiving dinner in my house, I'm going to inject estrogen in all of my food. I've got plenty of estrogen right here. And I'm going to inject estrogen in all the food. So if you come to my house for Thanksgiving, you're going to drink soy milk instead of regular milk. I'm going to tell you it's regular milk, but it's actually soy milk. And I'm going to inject estrogen into the turkey. Now, if that's something you want to take that risk, feel free. Come and take it, as Ted Cruz said. But I mean, again, the idea here that the left is waging a war on Thanksgiving, I don't know. It's just, it's weird. It's weird stuff. And the idea that the left is somehow to blame for natural events, like natural disasters. Like, I guess all those hurricanes, it's totally not, that we've been ignoring infrastructure, and it's totally not that, the world is heating up due to oil companies producing carbon emissions. No, it's the left. The left, George Soros secretly has a weather generator, and he's just creating all these hurricanes. It's just part of the left. It's just what we do. I don't know, dude. It's weird. It's weird fucking stuff. It's super weird. And again, if you want to place blame, right? Oh, the coronavirus is preventing me from having soup with my family. I mean, look at the government, right? Who's the president right now? Is it known leftist? Bernie Sanders? Oh, wait, no, it's Donald Trump who's the president. Who's the governor of New York? Is it Cynthia Nixon or AOC? Oh, wait, no, it's Andrew Cuomo. Like, these corporate, bought and paid for pigs in suits. That's who's running our country. So the idea that you're going to blame socialists who have no power in the United States, you're going to blame the left who has no power in the United States outside of like 7 or 8 elected members of Congress, right? Instead of, I don't know, the actual people in charge of the government. It's weird. It's weird. Super bizarre stuff. But again, today's episode of The Daily Dullard. Hold up. I had to have like a gain filter here because Charlie Kirk's podcast audio sucks. I don't want to blow out your eardrums. But today's episode of The Daily Dullard brought to you by the War on Thanksgiving. Sad. Okay, hold the phone. Do you have a phone? If you don't have a phone, that's fine. Hold the phone. If you do have a phone, please hold the phone. I just glanced at the chat room. Okay? You ready? Okay, here we go. As we all know, this election took place between radical leftists and known communists Joe Biden and Chairman known communist. Dude, I can't. I can't. I won't. In fact, I won't. Anyway, so next. What's next on the agenda? What's next? What could possibly be next? We've entered the battle. The first strike, a preemptive strike in the war on Christmas, has been issued, and again, preemptive strikes, I think all options should be on the table. As far as I'm concerned, we've got a war. Our national security is at risk. I think all options should be on the table. So I'm issuing a preemptive strike on the war on Thanksgiving, and maybe that can yield some dividends when we eventually get into the war on Christmas. But, Aub, wait, you were joking. Okay, it's hard to tell, because you've posted some cringe here before. It's hard to tell. When you have a frequency of cringe, such as yourself, sometimes satire is not the easiest. But if you're joking, okay, I accept. As a comedian, I accept. Okay, so this is something that this is like I know this is a couple days old. This is a couple days old, but okay. So here's like a little thing, like a little ditty, right? Here's Kamala Harris fist bumping, right? Lindsey Graham. I know, it's weird. You might be thinking, right? Okay. The Democrat president, Lindsey Graham, right? Who is publicly saying that Donald Trump has won the election and that the Democrats cheated, right? Okay, so let me understand this, okay? So, the Democrats stole the election. Now, they didn't steal the Senate for some reason. They didn't steal the House for another reason. I'm not sure. But they stole the presidency somehow, I guess, right? And that's what Lindsey Graham's argumentation is. So, what do you do when you are convinced that the opposing side has stolen the presidency? Well, you go to the floor of the Senate and fist bump the person that stole the presidency, right? Right? Like, that's what you do, obviously. So, again, this is more like damnation on Kamala Harris than it is on Lindsey Graham, but like, look, that back pat, like, that's just weird. This is weird stuff. This is really weird stuff. And, again, you can't really read much of this other than the idea that it's cringe. It's cringe. The vice president-elect is making buddy-buddy on national television, right? On C-SPAN, right? Like, with someone who's right hand to the president in trying to steal the election. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, dude. It's really strange stuff, right? And again, this goes back to the whole thing. Both parties are bought and paid for by corporations. We know that. We've known that for a long time, right? But again, it also goes to show that it's all kabuki theater. None of this stuff is real. When Lindsey Graham goes up there and says that Kamala Harris is, evil and stole the election, that doesn't mean anything. All he's doing is speaking to the base of the Republican Party. That's all that matters. It's doublespeak. One thing for the base, the other thing for my colleagues. That's what it's all about, right? It's all a game show. Like, dude, Donald Trump is fucking president. Like, have you not seen anything on television for the last 20 years? The guy's a game show host, right? Like, we're gonna wake up on January 21st, right? And then it's gonna be like, wait, I thought it was January 21st, 2021. It's actually gonna be 2017. We've all been in a simulation for the last 4 years just to see what would happen, right? If Donald Trump, a game show host, became president. But, no, for real though, we need to get rid of all these people. Congress, the executive branch, they're all corporate goons and gangsters, right? They're holding us hostage. President Biden is not going to change much, if anything. Now, is he going to slow the bleeding? Right? Maybe. But is he going to fundamentally change the structures of power that are impacting the poor and working class in this country? Fuck no. Fuck no. And that's why, as a communist, as an anarchist, a core ideological principle of mine for organizing is you should always push to the left. There is not a single politician in the United States, in United States history, or that has a decent standing of running for office in the United States that I agree with on 100% of issues. AOC, we agree with maybe like 60%, right? I wish you were an anarchist. You know, that would be cool, but she's not, right? Now, maybe I should run for Congress. Who knows, right? But at the same time, my point is you should always push to the left. Everybody, push Lindsey Graham to the left, push Kamala Harris to the left. And when I say push them to the left, I mean knock them on the floor and steal their fucking seat, because it's not about them personally. It's about the power that they represent. And if you just get rid of all of these fuckers, right? I like the idea of Justice Democrats going in there, picking off the House leadership. That's pretty cool. If you just get rid of all these fuckers, it'll make things a hell of a lot easier for the working poor in this country. That goes to the Democrats. That goes to the Republicans. Get rid of them. Get them out of here. We don't need them. They're garbage. And this little piece of film, 4 seconds. That's all it takes. 4 seconds. And you exemplify everything that's wrong with government. It's really interesting stuff. AOC is an idiot bartender. Yo, these people, like, the idea that Z50, like 50 years old, like has a 20-something-year-old kid, right, is coming into the chat. AOC's a bartender. Like, okay. All right. Okay. All right, I guess. She is a bartender. That is okay. That's a fact, I guess. Sheesh. Squiggles McJr. Tranny dick sucker. That about sums it up. That's a correct analysis. There you go. I'm very surprised you were able to build such a house in his head rent-free. Whose head? Donald Trump? I don't think Donald Trump thinks about me. Anyway, what's next on today's episode of... Oh my god. Okay, this is actually... this is actually really funny. Okay, so I would like to report breaking news. There was a murder. Breaking news. There was a murder in Washington, D.C. that was reported. Dan Crenshaw, who is known for saying ridiculous things, decided to, throw some shade at a senator. Ed Markey, who I appreciate. I'm a fan, So Ed Markey tweets, "It's time to start asking what your government can do for you." Right. A play on the JFK quote. I get it. We're in a depression. 40% of people can't pay their rent in the country. Not 4%, 4 with a 0. Not a 0.4, not a 0.4, 40 percentage sign. 40%, next to half of the country cannot pay their rent. And also, there's an eviction moratorium that's expiring pretty soon. So, right, let's throw that out there. So there was a murder reported in Washington, D.C. And Dan Crenshaw said, "What a horrible and intentional insult to the legacy of JFK. Why did Massachusetts re-elect this person?" Now, you might be thinking, again, Dan Crenshaw's final breath, right, right before the murder took place. What is the murder? What was the weapon that was utilized to, strip the life of Dan Crenshaw? Well, I'll show you. We've got Ed Markey here. Also, my browser is deciding to freeze, so just give that a second. My CPU usage is deciding, okay, I don't know how to backspace, so I'm just going to have to wait for the page to load. It's okay, it happens. It happens. It's alright. Right? I'm not doing a live show. I'm not expecting, to have a browser that functions when I want it to function. You know, I can just wait for Twitter to load. That's fine, right? It's not like I was doing like a bit or something and all of a sudden Twitter stopped loading, right? That's not true at all. Look, right? Perfect stuff. So, once Twitter decides to load, I will continue my bit. But in the meantime, I will consume some more soy. Hello, Mr. Freak Glitcher. Hello, 4cheese334 monkeys. Again, I'm just waiting. I assume at some point my browser will function. But until then, how's everyone going? Until then, let me talk about gerrymandering a little bit. So if you don't know what gerrymandering is, as I wait for my internet browser to work, let me give you a little history lesson. So gerrymandering is the concept that you cut districts in specific fashions that are favorable to specific political parties. So what that means, right, if you know that, let's say, non-white people typically vote more for Democrats, you would want to try to fraction up the non-white communities as much as possible. So, let's say, if you've got a neighborhood that is, I don't know, 80% African American, right, maybe 10% Latinx, maybe 10% white, right? You would want to cut a district in the middle of that. You wouldn't want them to have all of that voting power collectively. No. You would want to cut that district in half. You would want to mess around with that district, so that, you know, you get some of the white suburbs, and maybe you get like 5% of the blacks, and they'll vote for Dems, but at the end of the day, you got Dan Crenshaw in office, and wow, my fucking computer is literally falling apart right now, so I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do about this, but I'm trying my best, and I really am trying my best, and I think that should be noted. But also, Twitter decided to finally load. Again, I apologize for that. But Ed Markey responds, and I don't know if this was Ed Markey sitting at the desk, you know, like with the Twitters, like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if this is a staffer, dude, but. Again, I would like to report a murder on the premises, Washington D.C. We have police reports of someone collapsing on the Capitol. So this is what a gerrymandered district looks like. This is what. So again, Dan Crenshaw is criticizing Ed Markey, and Ed Markey just responds, no text, just a picture of his district, right? Yeah. We don't need to have a district that encapsulates, I don't know, the entire community of this city. No. Let's get a district that is just the white, wealthy suburbs. Even down to the street. Yeah, we'll just get some white, wealthy suburbs, and then they'll vote for a It's Dude, I can't. And again, I'm sorry that my computer decided to break at this moment, but holy shit, that is hilarious stuff. Again, ask not what you can do for your country, but ask what your country can do for you. We're in a depression. We're depressed. The whole country is depressed. There is an alarmingly high amount of suicides. There's an alarmingly high amount of drug overdoses from desperation. There's an alarmingly high amount of those who cannot pay their rent. Like, the country is falling apart, right? So the idea that Dan Crenshaw is going to come out there and say, yeah, I'm a legitimately elected member of Congress. I'm smart, right? I love it. I think it's hilarious. And again, I thought that this was extremely funny. Unfortunately, my bit was not as good as it could have been, but it was pretty good. So, thank you for that. But yeah, I don't know why my computer is deciding to cease functioning at this current moment in time. It's a little distressing. Discord is not open. That fixed the problem last time, but it's not fixing it this time. So that's certainly not good. Certainly not good.
No good. No good. No good. Really bad for you.
I love really bad for you. Donald Trump is talking about drugs there, by the way. Donald Trump's opinion on drugs is, quote, no good, really bad for you. That's his opinion on drugs. But anyway, I'm sorry. God. Jesus. Hello, Elliot Roger. I'm glad you could join us from the afterlife today. How's it going in hell? You doing good up there? Or down there? I don't know. What the fuck's the difference? By the way, speaking of redistricting and gerrymandering, state legislatures 2020 census. Not looking good, folks. I'll explain more about that when that shit starts happening. But Republicans in a lot of these states, my state as well, North Carolina, are going to be in charge of redistricting come 2020. So that's not good. Try rebooting. I'm not going to try that because I'm in the middle of my program. So instead, what I'm going to try to do is shut down a few things, right? So I'm going to shut down Notepad, right, that has a URL in it that I am no longer using. I'm going to shut that down because I don't need it. Let's turn off the volume mixer. I don't need the volume mixer. Okay. Let's see if that fixed anything. So I shut off Notepad and volume mixer, and then my CPU went from 85% to 98%. Wait, now it's back down to 70%. I have no idea what's going on, folks. I have no idea what's going on. But I'll figure it out later. Like, I'm going to try to get through the rest of this. I'm going to try. Right? I hope I can get through the rest of this. But, we'll see. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I've got a video on Twitter I wanted to play. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know what's happening. My computer is probably trying to install updates right now. You'll have to restart after the... Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. Let me look at these, like, ghost processes real quick. Oh, no? That's not what I wanted. Anyway, give me a sec. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties are things that occur. I was going to open up, like, some fun music or something, but then I realized my browser does not function, so I cannot open up some fun music. Like intermission music. I was going to do that, but that's seemingly impossible. So I have no idea what's going on. I'm so sorry. This is me trying my best to hide the fact that I am extremely frustrated. So I hope that I'm doing okay. But I'm not sure that I am. So again, I mean, everything else, like memory is at like 30%. Like it's just CPU is being like destroyed by something. I have no idea why. Unless it's just my internet browser, which, I mean, I guess I could just restart it. Right? I guess I could. Damn, dude, this sucks. This sucks dick! And not the good kind of dick, but I'm talking about, like, the bad dick. Like, we all know the bad dick. Okay, so I guess I can't... I don't know what I'm... Okay, so let me display my options. So I've got multiple options here. My CPU is registering 100% right now. Not good. Alright, so I have multiple options. So I can restart in the middle of the show. We'll see how that goes. That's option 1. I can try to continue doing the show. That's option 2. Without playing the videos, because I've got videos and they're just not loading for me. So option 3 is I stop the show and then just do what I was going to do later tomorrow. That's option 3. So I'm going to take a live poll in the chat right now. Which option should I take? I'm not sure. I think just doing a quick reset is probably the best option. But again, that's severely... I don't like doing that. I really like... That triggers the fuck out of me, dude. But I think that really is the only option. I can't think of another option. I'm pretty sure... It's probably the browser. Try restarting the browser. I guess I could try restarting the browser. I guess. I mean, that's possible. But my problem is, like, I've got... this is like... man, this is pissing me off, dude. This is... Okay. But that's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. You're fine. We are fine. Everything is overall pretty fine. It seems that everything besides my browser is functioning relatively decently, which is a sign that my browser has a memory leak, right? Which has never happened before. It's certainly something that's worthy of investigation. It's I'm out of soy. I can no longer drink soy as I am out of soy, as unfortunate as that is to say. But I'm going to try to restart my browser. But until then, that's going to be our first band-aid. I'm going to try to restart my browser. I cannot ignore the CPU. That's not a possibility. Because my browser is not functioning. And if I'm going to report the news, I have everything open on the internet. I mean, I guess I could theoretically download all the pages. But I mean, like, come on, right? Like, that's, like, come on. So I'm shutting down my browser. Give me a couple moments. I'm shutting down my browser. Okay, so I can no longer read the chat room. I'm going to request that if you are in the chat, that you be nice. If you don't be nice, that would be very, very sad for me. That would be very sad if you just weren't nice. So I'm going to request that you be nice. So my browser is turned off. My CPU is at 80%. Okay, my CPU is now at 20%. So it appears that there was, in fact, some sort of leakage. It reminds me of my childhood. There was some leakage involved, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do about this leakage. So, okay, my CPU is now at 20%. Okay, so it was, I guess, confirmed the browser. So that confirms that it was the browser. So now we have to see. Okay, alright, it was my browser causing the memory leak, ruining my show. It's ruined. It's over. Like, I'm ruined now. I might as well just retire. So I'm going to try to click on my browser again. Looks like it's working. Wait. Wait. Okay, so I opened my browser and it's back up to 100%. Instantly shot up to 100%. Within moments, my browser hit 100%. How is that? Like, I don't understand. Is it like a specific page or tab that I've got open? I don't know. This is bizarre stuff. I can't see the chat room still. So just, bear with me. But, yeah. It appears that I'm going to have to be doing some sort of restart. That seems to be the situation. So I want to brace everyone. I don't even know if you can hear me, by the way. I have no idea if you can hear me. My computer right now is frozen. And I'm not talking about the Disney film. My computer right now is... Wait. Okay, now it's back to 30%. Well, should I restart or not? Okay. Hold the phone. If you are not holding your phone, please, I recommend that you hold the phone. So my browser is functioning. My CPU remains at 30%. I think I'm good. I have no idea what's going on, but I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Okay, so I've got the chat open. Got to switch to live chat, of course, so that way I can see when people call me a tranny. Got to make sure I see that. Okay. Hey, everyone. Oh my God, George Washington can't... Oh, hello, 69 Brazil. I love that username. George Washington, imagine, being 29 years old. You're not, 70 years old and you can't detect sarcasm. So George Washington says, LMAO, the person that denigrates others on every video. Ask the chat to be nice. So first of all, the idea that I denigrate people on every video, when my ideology is about peace and understanding, I mean, that's a little interesting of a comment. Second of all, the idea that you are 29 years old, again, you're not 69, you're not 89, you're not 199 years old, you are 29 years old and you've never heard of sarcasm before. which is a prevalent form of communication online, that's certainly bizarre. That's some really weird stuff. And I'm sorry for your loss. Let's see. Hello, Skeptical Mantis. Welcome back. Skeptical Mantis says, oh my, I'm going to get distracted making fun of dullards. Oh my god. Alright, I'm sorry, Skeptical Mantis, but hold up. Skeptical Mantis, coming in hot. Today's second episode. The Daily Dullard. Everybody, the Daily Dullard. Skeptical Mantis says, for those of you who voted for him, how do you plan to push Biden left? And this is my exact problem with this ideology. The ideology that voting is bad, and that if you vote, you're a bad person, right? And then also, if you vote, somehow that means that you endorse that person 100% of the time. So, for those of you that voted for him, how do you plan to push Biden left? So, like I was saying earlier, and I guess you weren't here, Skeptical Mantis, you should push every politician as far left as possible. As far left as possible. So, the idea, oh, I didn't vote for Biden, so I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to participate in pushing the administration left. I'm not going to protest. I didn't vote for Biden. So why should I protest the government? Why should I protest the government so that they move left? Why should I protest the government? Why should I lobby the government to do what I say? I didn't vote for them. So I guess I'm just going to sit back. I'm a backseat observer. So for those of you that did vote for the politician that I disagree with, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm not going to do anything. I didn't vote. So how do you plan on pushing them left? That's what you said, Skeptical Mantis. You said, and I quote, for those of you who voted for him, how do you plan to push Biden left? What, like, the impetus here is, again, you're trying to create this divide here where, oh, I didn't vote for Biden. I'm not going to push Biden. I'm not going to, like, what does that mean? You're not, like, I just don't get it. Like, if you want to extrapolate, feel free, but I just don't understand. George Washington, answer the question. How do you plan to push Biden? Again, I'm sorry for the abuse of the soundboard here, but Jesus Christ, I literally just said protesting. You can rewind in like 10, 15 seconds, and you can see me say protesting, and this guy's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're dodging the question that you just answered 20 seconds ago. Why are you dodging the question? I know that you just answered the question. I understand that you just answered the question in detail, but why are you dodging the question? It's like, what? Weird stuff. Really weird stuff. I plan to protest regardless. I think a lot of people who did vote for him don't actually plan to protest now that he won. Skeptical Mantis, who are you talking about? Are you conflating liberals with leftists? Okay, this is my problem. I'm sorry. I'm a little triggered right now because this Jimmy Dore fucking ideology is, the election is over, and yet you still have these Dumbo fucking losers talking, oh, you voted for Biden. Well, you're canceled. Okay, dude. Yes, will liberals probably, like, go back to brunch? No fucking shit, dude. Are you, like, when you go out and protest, Skeptical Mantis, you're a relatively intelligent person. I've seen you go to protests and record them. Good stuff, by the way, right? When you go to protest, are you interviewing, like, multi-millionaire liberals on the front lines of Black Lives Matter protests? Like, saying ACAB and calling the cops pigs? Like, are there, like rich wine moms with, like, fucking $1 trillion bracelets on and, like, $13 trillion necklaces on? You know, like, with their, like, pussy hats saying, like, ACAB, Black Lives Matter. No! You're not seeing that. So, the idea that you're going to say, oh, you voted for Biden, automatically that means you're going to go to sleep, even though you're talking about the Biden administration negatively every single day on your channel. You voted for Biden, so you're going to go to sleep. Like, again, it's ridiculous stuff. It's ridiculous stuff. I am kissing my own ass about how smart I am because, again, this rhetoric is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, divisive, unhelpful, demobilizing rhetoric. You came to my chat room. You know what you're doing. You came to my chat room to troll me because I voted for Joe Biden in a swing state. Skeptical Mantis. That's what you came here to do. That was, when you clicked on my video, your brain subconsciously or consciously was like, time to troll the tranny for voting for Biden. Now, maybe not in those terms, but you might as well. We need a specific plan. Exactly. We need a specific plan. So the idea that you're coming into the chat room, again, to troll about voting for Biden, it's ridiculous. The plan is to protest. The plan is to push Biden left, right? That's not like, okay, there's the blueprint, there you go. We got protesting. We've got lobbying. We've got organizing. We've got also running for office, right? We've got so many tools, so many arrows in the quiver, right? The idea that, like, somehow, like, first of all, you think I'm like an all-knowing, wise sage? Like, oh, right. Like, oh, I know how to put, like, no. Dude, that's not how this stuff works. That's not how, the way you push Biden left is the same way you push Trump left. It's the same shit. They're both two sides of the same coin. You should know that by now. So, like, I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit, triggered here. But I'm really fucking sick. Like, the election is over, dude. It's done. It's gone. It's over. Trump lost. Biden is president. The idea that you are still clinging to this idea of, like, everyone who votes for Biden supports him. Like, come on, dude. Come on. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It really is. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to cancel you. I'm just saying, you haven't been in my chat room, Skeptical Mantis, for like 2 or 3 weeks, right? You have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no idea, like, anything at all. You come into this chat room, the first now maybe it's just because I had, like, technical problems and I had to reset my browser, right? But the first message I see from you is, you voted for Biden. What are you going to do now? Tough guy, big shot. What are you going to do? You voted for him. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, it's just like, come on, man. Come on. Come on. 4 cheese, 334 monkeys, $5 super chat. Does soy taste like soy sauce? I don't like soy sauce. I hate soy sauce. But I love soy milk. And I love soybeans. But I hate soy sauce. I feel like there's like another chemical thing in there. I don't like that kind of shit. But my point here, Skeptical Mantis, my point here to try to bring actually some sort of understanding, so it's not just me yelling at you to vent my frustrations, which it is so far, and I acknowledge that. But my point is, instead of talking about, oh, you voted for Biden, right? Instead of talking about that, how about you come into the chat room and say, yo, I just came back from a protest. Here's some news from this protest. Here's an idea I picked up on the ground at a protest, right? Like, that's how you organize. I'm sorry, the election is over. The election is over. It's not like, please stop with the election rhetoric. That's my genuine request. We need to move on from election rhetoric. The election is over. It's gone. It's done. What's done is done. It happened. Trump lost. Biden won. There's going to be a new president, right? We need to deal with that. We need to study on what these people are doing. I'm sure you know. You post trivia on a weekly basis in my channel about Biden this, Biden that. You know how bad he is. So you should be on the front lines of organizing. Now, am I saying you need to be in the front of a fucking march and what? I'm not saying that. But my point is, we need to move on. We need to graduate, right? I've been in politics for like 4 years, right? This is my second election. What I noticed after 2016, when Bernie Sanders dropped out, is all the Bernie Sanders people left, and they got pissed. And then, when Bernie Sanders ran again, they all came back, right? And I'm talking about the Jimmy Dore types. I'm talking about these people. I know Jimmy Dore doesn't like Bernie, and that just further proves my point. But, right, you see all these people that say, I supported Bernie, but now that Bernie's lost, I'm not even going to do anything political. I'm just going to post on YouTube and Twitter all day. And I know you're not that person, Skeptical Mantis. I know you go to protest. So my hope is that you can just graduate from this rhetoric. I don't want to talk about the election anymore. Like, if I'm going to make fun of Donald Trump, that's one thing. That's one totally separate thing. But, like, I know I expect much better from you, Skeptical Mantis. So the plan is to keep doing what we're already doing, but now that there will be less people No, there will not be less people protesting. Okay? Okay. This is like, again, when you go to a protest, do you see like the cast of the Real Housewives of New Jersey? You're in Philadelphia, right? So do you see the Real Housewives of New Jersey go in there and say, Black Lives Matter! Like, no, you don't see that. Why? Why don't you see that? Because the liberals weren't at the protests. The liberals were already at brunch. The liberals are just posting on Twitter. They're not there. There will not be less people. The idea that there will be less people comes from the idea that apolitical folks, because most of these protests are from people that are relatively apolitical, apolitical folks will somehow think that Biden is the answer. I have interviewed protesters. These protesters that I've interviewed have said they don't like Biden. If Biden's elected, nothing will change. They will continue to protest, right? Now, am I saying, like, again, Black Lives Matter began under Barack Obama. Black Lives Matter began under the Obama-Biden administration. To say that Black Lives Matter is an anti-Trump reactionary force not only is it insulting to those with intelligence, but it is insulting to those on the ground that you yourself are participating in. It's insulting to all of those people on the ground. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying this bullshit. Black Lives Matter got no media attention until George Floyd was fucking murdered on live television in front of the world. I was participating in protests for a couple years before George Floyd was murdered in front of the world, and I can tell you, when I went to protests, there were not that many people. Okay? I can tell you, I went to Black Lives Matter protests, maybe, at best, 200 to 300 people. Outside of August 12th, 2018 in Washington, right, at the Unite the Right 2 rally, there was like maybe, I heard that there was maybe like upwards of 1 million people there, right? But outside of that situation, and that was more so of an anti-Trump liberal coalition for sure, right? But outside of that situation, Black Lives Matter protests aren't that popular before George Floyd is murdered in public, okay? That is not, like, if that happened, like, again, Black Lives Matter formed under Obama, right? When someone was murdered in front of the world. So the idea that somehow Black Lives Matter, starting under Obama, right, not really being that active throughout the Trump administration until the last year of the Trump administration, the idea that somehow Black Lives Matter is just going to disappear with Biden like Obama in office, right? Oh, he's black, and that'll placate the blacks or whatever. Like, there's that dumb argument that right wingers come up with, right? But Biden, we know, Skeptical Mantis, and I'm sorry if I'm spending so much time on this, but it's like, this is a leftist grift, and this is a mindset that needs to be destroyed. It needs to be dismantled. Every single aspect of thinking that Trump is better than Biden needs to be destroyed. Ferguson and Baltimore were rioting under Obama, and a section of the left didn't get too involved. Dude, that was 7 years ago. Okay? Here is, again, this is, and I'm sorry to, you're just the person I need to say this to. You're my channel for this, Skeptical Mantis, and I want this to be, I want a serious message here. Okay. When you say that the left will go back to sleep under a Biden administration, there are implications there that in 2008, the left went to sleep. The left did not go to sleep in 2008. In 2009, in 2010, there was no left. It's not that the left went to sleep, it's just that there was no left. There was none. Gone. Donezo. 0% representation everywhere. There was no left. Outside of obscure blogs, outside of people in the streets, there was no left. There was none. And my thesis here is we need to not be backseat observers. We need to be active participants in history. And what that means is actually understanding the things that happen as they happen. When you say, or if someone says, the left is going to go to sleep under Biden, the implication is that there was a left in 2008 of equal size, equal stature, equal organizing principles, and all of that. That is not the case. This is not a scientific experiment, okay? This is conjecture based on misrepresented data, okay? The coalition that brought Obama to the presidency was a supermajority, all right, of liberal, center-left, at best, liberals. Now, were there leftists that are participatory in that coalition? Yes, right? But was that leftist population enough to swing anything? No. Was that leftist contingent enough to actually change anything? No. Did the leftist protesting the Iraq war change anything? No. Okay? So, what we need to do is we need to build a stronger, more organized left. So what happened in 2011 during the Obama administration? You have something like Occupy Wall Street, okay? And this is, again, what I mean by being an active participant in history. Now, in 2008, was there Twitter like there is today? Was there TikTok in 2008? Was YouTube and social media as active as it is in 2008? No. Okay? In 2011, during Occupy Wall Street, was there active Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all these platforms where people are able to share information in real time immediately? No. Okay? In 2014, when Black Lives Matter began, right, social media was more adopted by more people. When people were taking videos of police brutality, they were able to show those videos to more people. Now let's fast forward to the Trump administration. Trump is not a unique phenomenon, right? That he's the most unique president in history. No one's ever been like him before. Yes, he's unique in a lot of ways, absolutely. But the ideas that propelled Trump to the presidency are not unique. And the idea, right, that you're going to be, okay, you understand that. Trump is not an aberration, but he is the system working as intended, right? So when you go back and say, oh, well, let's compare to the previous Republican president in 2000, right? Again, technology is huge. We need to be active participants in history. And in that, you need to know what technology is capable of, and you need to know how to utilize it. Did we have Twitter in 2008? No. Did we have TikTok in 2008? No. Did we have TikTok in 2014? No. Did we have YouTube in 2014? Not like it is today. Did we have all these social media platforms back when these organizations and when these movements were forming? No. So, the ground, with that in mind, is entirely different. It is completely different. It is not even remotely similar. So the idea that you're going to say that the left will go back to sleep under Biden like they did in Obama, I'm sorry, but the implications there are wrong. They're not a differing opinion, they are wrong. I'm Skeptical Mantis, you are really frustrating me. You are really frustrating me with your fucking... I'm sorry, and I'm sorry if I'm triggered. You are very much so frustrating me right now. We had social media during Occupy Ferguson, Baltimore, no dapple. No dapple was what, 2016? Are you saying that we had TikTok in 2016? Are you saying that we had a whole generation of teenagers in 2016 that were extremely anti-government and that share their anti-government views on TikTok every single second of every single day? Yo, I've got Zoomers in my family, right? My little brother is 19 years old. My little brother, right, is extremely anti-government, has a lot of friends that are his age that are extremely anti-government. They were like 14 during No Dapple. My argument is not that TikTok is a game changer. My argument is that social media continues to evolve. My argument is that social media gives us more and more and more and more capabilities than we had 4 years ago, than we had 6 months ago. 6 months ago. Before George Floyd was murdered in front of the entire world, a lot of these organizations were not nearly as evolved as they are right now. Okay? My point is that you have a whole new generation of young people. When Barack Obama was elected in 2008, how old were you, Skeptical Mantis? Did you go back to sleep when you were 12 years old? Oh, the black man got elected, time to go back to sleep and not build my Molotov collection when you're 12 years old? My point is there is an acceleration of leftist ideas. To say that history is going to repeat itself under a completely different circumstance is ignoring what the most useful tools to us are. The most useful tools to us right now are the internet, social media as a impetus to organize. We did not have these capabilities during Occupy, right? We did not have these capabilities during the No Dapple protest. If we did, they were a fraction, a tenth of a percentage as robust as they are right now. So please stop with this focusing. Oh, you voted for Biden. What's Biden going to do? He's going to put the left back to sleep. The liberals are going to stop protesting. They don't protest as it is. I'm sorry, but please, I want you to think about this, Skeptical Mantis, and any other Jimmy Dore, Dumbo leftist. I know, I'm using ad hominem, I'm insulting you, I know, blah, 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 whatever. Get the fuck over it, okay? Be a serious person, right? If someone came to me and said, oh, well, you know, the Real Housewives of New Jersey aren't showing up to our Black Lives Matter protests, so I guess it's a wash. Dude, they're not going to show up anyway. They're not showing up, they haven't shown up. The most you're going to get out of them is a retweet on a Twitter post that's going to reach, what? A bunch of fucking liberals that also don't show up and won't show up? So my point is we have to be active participants in history. My point is the playing field is evolving like like it's never been. Every month, every week, the playing field in this country changes irreparably. It changes entirely every single week. So when you want to go back and say, well, you know, the liberals during Occupy Wall Street, now you can extrapolate data. You can extrapolate data from older protests, absolutely. But you cannot use them as like rules. You cannot use like Occupy Wall Street and No Dapple and the Ferguson protests as like laws of nature, right? You cannot use Barack Obama dismantling all outside groups in 2008, and that's not happening in 2020, right? You can't use that as a law of nature. It's not a law of physics. We need to be active participants in history. We need to know that, yes, these people do their thing. We need to study what they do, and we need to combat that thing, right? There were not a whole generation of people that grew up during the housing crisis. I grew up in the housing crisis, dude. I lost my house when I was a teenager, okay? There are millions of people that are in my similar situation. We didn't have the opportunity to go to sleep when Barack Obama was elected in 2008. In 2008, I was 12 fucking years old in 2008, right? The idea that you're going to say the political makeup of all the like generations of all the young people and all that stuff, the idea that you're going to say that the left is as powerful as it was in 2008 as it is today, it's laughable. It's laughable. And it's ahistorical and it's ridiculous. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's frustrating because you haven't been to my stream, Skeptical Mantis, in weeks. I don't think you've been in my stream since the election happened. Skeptical Mantis, if Biden ends up deporting more people than Trump, will you look back self-critically? What does that mean, look back self-critically? What does that mean? Again, you are saying that because I voted for Joe Biden in a swing state, that automatically means I endorse him and I tie my credibility to him. Dude, I've been shitting on Joe Biden on my channel every day for fucking 11 months. 11 months I've been shitting on Joe Biden every single day, dude. What do you mean, will I look back self-critically? I have told you my first and foremost reasons for voting for Joe Biden are 1, because of marijuana decriminalization, and 2, because he promised not to roll back transgender rights as much as the Trump administration. Now, am I saying that Joe Biden is going to be better on every fucking thing? No, I'm not. He's going to be worse on a lot, and he's going to be better on a lot. It's about what works best for me personally, and it's about what works best for the country overall. That was what I made my decision about. You are trying to tie me to Joe Biden. It's ridiculous, it's childish, it's divisive, and it's demobilizing. And that's the worst part, is what you are projecting here is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, if I just say the left is going to go away, they're going to go to sleep. The left's going to go to sleep. If I say that the left is going to go to sleep, and then I go to sleep, then that means the left has gone to sleep, and that means I was right. Like, it's a ridiculous fucking argument. To say, right, I'm going to pull the card here, right? I'm going to pull the card, and you're going to have to fucking deal with it, okay? Alright, see, I'm pulling the card. I'm pulling the card. To say to a transgender person, right, after the transgender military ban, after a rise in hate crimes against transgender people, after trans people were not allowed to purchase insurance for several months, when Trump rewrote the HHS rule on transgender healthcare for insurance providers. Like, all this stuff, to say to a trans person, you have unfounded fears about Donald Trump. Yeah, I know he has stripped your rights away, but you have unfounded fears. I know that Donald Trump has stacked the courts with people that want to kill you, but you've got unfounded fears. Yeah, I know that you are bisexual, pansexual, right? You engage in queer relationships and that you're queer yourself and your identity is queer, but fuck it, whatever. Your fears are unfounded. Dude, shut the fuck up. It's ridiculous. It's irresponsible, it's offensive, and it's disgusting. I'm sorry, it's disgusting what you are saying to me. I think we will build a movement of regardless of who is president. Absolutely. Absolutely. So then why the fuck are you sitting here saying Donald Trump revoking transgender health care and rights is not a bad thing? I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall. Skeptical Mantis, do you want to come on Discord right now? Like, seriously, dude, you cannot be this fucking idiot. Like, you cannot be this idiotic. I'm sorry for my misspeech. I literally just sat here and talked to you personally. I'm ignoring everyone else. I'm talking to you personally, and I feel like you just didn't listen to a single thing I said. Yeah, I know that Trump has destroyed your rights in this country. I know that. But did you know that Obama deported more than Trump? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, did you not listen to a single thing that I said? Did you not listen to a single fucking thing that I just said? I spoke to you personally for 20 minutes, and you listened to nothing. Nothing. That's offensive to me. I'm calling you on Discord right now. Answer the phone, coward. And just so you know, I'm triggered, and I might scream at you. You're going to have to deal with it. It's ridiculous, dude. I'm sorry. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous fucking ideology. It's a ridiculous fucking ideology. Hello?
Yo, what's up?
Okay, so what is your thesis here? What is your thesis here? That Trump is better than Biden? Is that your thesis?
No, that was never what I was pushing. And the fact that you still kind of think that that's what I think shows that you're just too triggered. Every single time I comment, you start screaming. It's funny because Last time when we talked for over an hour, you didn't scream at me. I never screamed at you. I've never called you a dum-dum. I've never personally attacked you. I think I only said that you were acting arrogant and you were acting like Sam Cedar. That's the only time I ever insulted you. But after we talked for a whole hour on the phone, and it seemed fine, every single time I went into your chat after that, you screamed, you called me a dum-dum.
Right.
You freaked out
That's
every
true.
freaking time.
And that's true, and I apologize if I hurt your feelings. But in my defense,
It's not really about hurting my feelings. It's about like how you said that you want to build unity among the left, right? And you're saying that I'm being divisive?
No.
This Sam Cedar impersonation that you do is very divisive.
Dude. Okay. Now, did you or
I've
did
never
you not
called
come
you a
in?
dum-dum, and I've never screamed at you.
Okay, that's true. Now, I will say screaming at a chat is different than screaming at a person in a phone call, right?
Sure, but it's like literally every time that I've come into your chat since we talked, you've screamed and freaked out.
Maybe think about the messages.
And you still think that I'm saying Trump is better, and I'm not. So you're not listening.
Okay, so I want you to reiterate what your point is. When you come into
my
my
whole
chat
thing
room,
is that my whole thing in a nutshell is that Trump is worse than Biden in certain ways, sort of, and Biden is worse than Trump in certain ways, sort of, and it's really unclear who's going to be worse. And you could say, oh, well, Trump did this really bad thing, and I'll say, okay, I'm sure he did, and that's bad. And I could say Biden did all these really bad things too. So we shouldn't have taken this attitude of pushing people to vote for Biden, saying that it's strategic and all that shit. That's bullshit. Because you know what? In 4 years, if there's no major change, like in the way we approach politics, in 4 years, you're still going to be doing the same thing. And so is Sam Cedar, and so are all the Jimmy Dore haters who think they're on the left.
Okay.
In 2 years, they're going to be pushing more frauds into the squad.
Are you saying Cori Bush is
talking
a fraud?
about all of them voted for the CARES Act. I don't know about Cori Bush, but all the squad members who were there when she wasn't elected yet.
Didn't we go
I can
over
only
this? AOC
expect
did not
that
vote for the
those
CARES Act.
people will
Didn't we go over
continue
this?
with the same strategy.
Bro.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. Go ahead.
I know. Last time we talked, I'm pretty sure you said that AOC voted for the CARES Act, and I called you out on that because it's not true. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she claimed she didn't. It's unclear, but
it's unclear. Well, what does that mean?
The voice
unclear?
vote?
Like we can go look up the vote.
It's unclear because she didn't demand the voice vote. Isn't that what it is? And then when they did do the voice vote, did you hear a woman's voice? Because I only heard one person's voice, and it didn't sound like AOC.
Okay, well, I'm not interested enough to go back and do that, but I'm finding that.
Well,
Okay, so
your friend Jimmy Dore has replayed the clip a lot of times, and there's just one man's voice who said no, and they claim it was Thomas Massey, some Republican guy.
That's amazing, and I'm super happy that his show is so out of material that they play the same clip all the time. Now, let me respond to the actual substance.
You're making an argument based on that, right? So shouldn't you actually know what you're talking about?
No, I'm not making an argument based on the CARES Act. So, my point. Now, you keep saying, oh, don't try the Democrat Party. Don't try the Democrat Party. Don't try the Democrat Party. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. The Democrats are awful. So what is the alternative? No voting at all? Not voting at all? Or building a third party?
I don't think we need to be focused on voting.
We don't need to be focused on voting. That's
correct. You're going to be focused on voting? I think people should do what Jimmy Dore is doing with the Movement for a People's Party.
Okay.
Because as far as I understand, they are going to focus on elections, but they are also going to focus on some kind of grassroots organizing.
So
and that's what I'm more interested in.
Okay.
Because honestly, voting either way isn't going to be a way for us to get power anytime soon, in my opinion.
That's also what I say on my show every single day. So I don't know why you're trying
to... But you were also pushing how important it was to vote for Biden and how dumb we all were for not voting for Biden,
I did not say how important it was. I wasn't saying it was an extremely important...
well, you treated it like it was really important because... I remember, you were talking about it like every single day, and you were calling us dum-dums, right? For not voting for Biden?
No.
And I never called you a dum-dum.
Okay.
Even though you were going to vote for Biden, I even told you the first time we talked, I said, yo, if you want to vote for Biden, fine. disagreement between us, but whatever.
Okay.
Once you start telling people they're dumb for not doing it, that's when we have a problem.
There's a misunderstanding. I did not say that you're dumb for not voting for Biden. A lot of my friends voted for Biden. You know, we joke about it. It's fine. Okay? What I said is that if you are vehemently opposed to voting for Biden, especially in a swing state, I live in a swing state, that is where my perspective is coming from. Now, if you come into the chat every day and say, oh, you vote for Biden, you vote for this, and all that stuff, that's where I take issue. I voted for Green in 2016. I lived in a safe blue state in 2016, so my calculus was different. I didn't need to think about the swing state thing. So my point here is it's not important to vote for Biden. I think Biden was going to win regardless, right? The guy won by a giant margin. I was never pushing how
That's not the impression you gave in all those live streams. You were making it seem like it was super important to vote for Biden, and this is like a huge, important election, and it matters so much.
Now, is it possible that you came in with a preconceived notion of
No, I listened to you a lot of times. All those times you were just screaming at me, I was actually listening.
Right, okay. So, can you tell me why you think somehow the Biden presidency will demobilize the left? How, like, what is the thesis?
It will demobilize certain people because it's not only those wine moms. Look, I grew up organizing in the age of Obama. Okay. In my experience, people still think Obama's good. Like, people in the hood
Absolutely
still
correct.
sort of think Obama's good. Like,
and you need that's the organizing that we need to do is to dismantle that mythology.
Right. Right. But the thing is that Obama had this prestige where the facts didn't really matter. He had just a personal kind of like effect on people where it's just idolatry is all it is. I mean, I had a little kid in Philly ask me if I was voting for Obama. Like, these are the conversations that are being had in those communities, and Biden being Obama's friend, it does kind of like twist people's minds in a certain way. It's easier. Would you agree or disagree? It's easier to show people that Trump is racist compared to Biden. Isn't it easier?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You want to know why it's
easier?
And
so isn't our job to expose the system?
Yes. You want to know why it's easier, though?
Because he's honest.
That, and because the mainstream media's official opinion is that he's racist. That's why it's easier.
Right.
The mainstream media dictates the narrative, right?
That's part of it.
So if we can't convince people that Obama's racist and a deporter-in-chief, how the hell are we going to get like a socialist revolution? Like, that is like step one. That is order one in the priority list. We need to convince people how bad establishment Democrats have been and will continue to be. That is absolutely.
And you pushing people to vote for Biden didn't help.
But I did not push people to vote for Biden. I said personally that I would vote for Biden in a swing state. I did vote for Biden in a swing state. I said that I think it's the best practice to vote for Biden because the other parties have nothing. Now, if the Jimmy Dore party, the People's Party, over the next 4 years, right, if they're able to mobilize something incredible, which I support, and let's say in North Carolina, and this is my stipulation, every time I talked about Biden, I said this stipulation. If somehow Kanye West got 30% in North Carolina, I'd consider voting for him. I said that time and time again because it's about beating Trump. That was my first and foremost thing because Trump personally made my life significantly worse. Okay? That is my personal reason. Now, I have multiple friends who voted for Howie Hawkins, who voted for the PSL candidate, who voted for Jesse Ventura, who like did all these like other things that I disagree with. Now, do
you have any friends that didn't vote?
Yes.
Or are they too dumb to be your friends?
Well, they're borderline too dumb, but I put up with them anyway.
Oh damn.
But my point.
That's most of the country right there.
Yes, that's correct. So my point here is that it's not the most important thing in the world to vote for Biden. That is a misinterpretation of my message. Now, it's possible that you only heard my message at specific points. It's possible that I personally believe that you have a preconceived notion. You maybe watched the specific video or I was being maybe sarcastic, and that's where you got this mentality from. I don't like Biden. Right, I started my show during the primary, right, and I talked about, if you look at my channel and search Joe Biden, I think almost every single video you would find will be negative. I can't even consider Like maybe when he announced the decriminalization of marijuana, I can't even like imagine a video I could make that was positive about Joe Biden or his candidacy, right? So this idea that you're attaching me to Joe Biden, that's what I'm frustrated with. And I feel like if you're doing this to me, that you're probably doing it to other people, and that's where my frustration
I never
lies.
tried to attach you to Biden. I think you maybe have a guilty conscience about that or something. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but I said in our very first talk, if you want to vote for Biden, go ahead. I disagree, but it's fine. It's just once you start telling others how important it is, and you say you didn't tell people that, but I was listening to a lot of your live streams leading up to the election, and you made it seem like it was the only damn thing happening in the whole world. Like it was, you really treated it like it was super important. And my thing is, we're going to have to do the same kind of thing regardless of who wins. So let's stop focusing on that shit so much and let's focus on this supposed plan of protesting, right? Because that's what you want to do, protesting. That's super vague. I get it. You don't have you don't need to have, a step-by-step perfect plan. Nobody does. I don't. But we're still in the same exact position as before, so why spend so many hours over the last few months talking about the damn election like if it's so important? Feeding the narrative that elections are super important and they're not.
Okay, so the reason I covered the election so much, one, is for views. I like making fun of Trump supporters. That's one of my favorite things to do on YouTube. YouTube, for me, first and foremost, is a way to vent frustrations and a way to have fun and enjoy myself, okay? Now, I tried to, as much as I possibly could, whenever I saw protest coverage, to also post that. I make a lot of videos about protests. Maybe, if you want to say that I would be a better, like leftist leader or potential leader or whatever, or organizer, if I posted exclusively protest coverage, maybe. That's possible, and I'm willing to accept that criticism. However, I focused on the election because, one, I dislike Trump. Two, seeing Trump babies comment all the time, giving me money, right, ads and all that stuff. You have to understand, this is my income, right? So that's another factor. If I can make fun of Trump supporters and get paid doing it,
Haven't you just defined yourself as a grifter?
Absolutely.
Because you like to throw that word around a lot.
Absolutely.
In ways that I don't think is really appropriate. Like you call Jimmy Dore a grifter. I remember when we first talked, I said, I want to ask you why you're a Jimmy Dore hater, and you claim not to be. But then you totally act like a Jimmy Dore hater.
I don't hate him. I'm open to him rehabilitating his message. But it's
you seem very uninformed about him, actually. You claimed in the first conversation that you don't ever watch him. But you've pretty much been calling him a dumbass frequently in your chats.
That's correct.
He's much better than people that you like Sam Cedar.
I would rather not talk about Jimmy Dore every time you speak and just instead talk about the things that I'm talking about. So, my point is...
I think it's actually important. The whole Sam Cedar, Jimmy Dore split is actually a big split reflected in the movement. I think we can
talk about this at another point. Let me get my point across.
Okay, sure. Get your point across. Go ahead.
So real quick, I have to remember my point because I forgot. So let me... Okay, Sorry. You called me a grifter because I focused on the election. Now, there is
You defined yourself as a grifter just now. You said that your Trump coverage and all that election bullshit you were talking was just for money.
Now, okay, that's correct. Now, what I would identify as a grifter in a real, non-sarcastic sense is someone who changes their ideology based on that thing. I never changed my ideology. I changed the titles of my videos. If you only subscribe to my channel and see the clips I post and not watch the actual videos, I can see how you'd get the impression that the election is the only thing I talk about. But if you watch all my videos, I oftentimes talk about how important protesting is, how important talking to your neighbor is. For example, one thing I say a lot is, especially when this pandemic started, if you have a neighbor, right, they're elderly, call them, see if they need anything when you go to the store, right? That kind of stuff. Building these community organizations, volunteering at food banks, it's extremely important. So I understand if you only look at the headlines or only skim some of my videos, I can totally see how you get that impression. However, that is not my ideology. Now, again, I might change the way I cover things for money, but you have to understand, I'm poor, right? I've got like $100 in my bank account right now. So if I can make a couple $100 over the course of October and November talking about Donald Trump a lot more than I did previously in the previous few months, why not? Why? What is wrong with me making some more money that I can in turn spend on food, right? That I can help, cook for my family.
You know what? That's
right?
fine. Yo, I don't even have a problem with you going against Trump hardcore. You might not understand this, but I'm against Trump hardcore, believe it or not. Thing is, every time somebody brings up how bad Trump is, I will agree with them and try to explain how similar he is to the Democrats, Biden, Obama. That's my thing. I don't think it's appropriate to criticize one without criticizing the other. Absolutely. Which is why when I talk to liberals or whatever, I know you say you're not a liberal, but when I talk to you, every time you point out Trump is bad, I just try to point out how they're totally similar. And that's what I see from Jimmy Dore as well. He's not buying into this fucking fake partisanship, this capitalist team player bullshit that a lot of the lefty channels are.
I think that's a misinterpretation. I think that's... are you saying that Sam Cedars up there saying Nancy Pelosi is a slaying queen? I don't see that, right? Are you saying that, anyone who, are you saying that, okay, what about Kyle Kalinske? He makes a lot of videos about the election. Are you saying he's a pro-lefty team player? I don't understand
he actually goes hard against the fake left, even goes hard against Bernie, even though he's still kind of naive against Bernie. That's one thing that, I can respect. There's some Bernie supporters out there, including Jimmy Dore. You said Jimmy Dore doesn't like Bernie or whatever, but he was actually a Bernie supporter who saw a lot of the shortcomings. He never stopped being a Bernie supporter. Even when he was a Tulsi supporter, he still would say good things about Bernie sometimes because he agreed with many of Bernie's goals. He just didn't agree with the strategy at all. And Jimmy was right, in my opinion.
Are you claiming that I am a Bernie hardcore apologist superfan?
In the conversation we had, I noticed that even though you say you're a communist, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You say you're a communist. You have the Antifa flag on your wall. You have a lot of the symbolism of the far left.
You know what else I have on my wall?
There are Bernie supporters out there who... Can I just say there's Bernie supporters out there who don't have an Antifa flag on their wall.
Absolutely.
Don't call themselves communists. Don't even think of themselves as revolutionaries. But they were actually willing to have a principled criticism of Bernie's shortcomings, which were many. Bernie...
Absolutely.
Don't even get me involved talking about Bernie. You already know how I feel about him.
Now...
Point is, I think you acted kind of like a team player, kind of kissing Bernie's ass way too much, giving him way too much of a pass. And I don't think that's right.
Okay, so... when the primary was going on, I supported Bernie Sanders. I volunteered on the campaign, and I did work for the campaign. Now, I think the Bernie Sanders 2020 campaign was potentially the most successful organization that I have seen. It was a almost 50-state organization, right? Now, I remember, especially when the pandemic started, when Bernie Sanders was using his texting list and his email list to warn people, about toilet paper shortages, to warn people about, make sure you do this and that to protect yourself, mass sharing scientific
data.
He
wasn't mobilizing anyone.
Now, I have a lot of criticisms of the Bernie campaign.
The biggest mobilizations in modern history happened right after Bernie threw that campaign away, which he could have won, but he wasn't willing to tell the truth about Biden.
I agree.
So that all happened, and Bernie was nowhere to be seen.
Did you watch any of my primary coverage when Bernie and Joe did that debate? And did you watch
I don't think I knew about your channel back then.
Okay, well, my point was I was extremely disappointed in Bernie, right? That is my point. I think Bernie is the best politician that we have of the generation of Democrats that he is in.
See, that's where I think you're wrong.
And he's not even a Democrat, technically.
Bernie emerged into popularity slowly at a time, starting in the late 70s, I'd say. Very slowly, right? He wasn't really known until just a few years ago. But he came up in a time when the left got destroyed, right? There's a reason for that. It's not just about being disappointed in Bernie or thinking that he could have done better or some shit. Yo, Bernie is a scumbag, straight up. Bernie is a scumbag because he directed the energy of the left into a movement that was designed to fail. if Bernie would have been, after everything I've said about Bernie, if he would have been willing to mobilize his support at the beginning of the pandemic, I would have been willing to go along with that and tactically support him in some way. That's what Jimmy Dore was saying. He was saying, yo, where the fuck is Bernie right now? How come he's not mobilizing people? So even, again, after all the criticism Jimmy Dore made of Bernie, it's still like, all right, yo, well, here's your chance. He still gave Bernie a chance. And Bernie didn't do shit. All those mobilizations happened without Bernie. Yo, fuck Bernie. He is a scumbag. For real. Like,
Okay, so let me ask you
I wouldn't be going that hard against him for no reason.
Okay.
I've been spending like the last, like before 2016, I was already saying, yo, Bernie's a fucking fraud.
Awesome.
And it's like,
Okay.
there's so many people who are not willing to see that because they
Right.
treat Bernie like their grandpa, and he's not.
Okay, so do you think that Bernie gained, do you think Bernie's campaigns, 2016 and 2020, both of them, like that 5-year period or so, do you think that the left is better positioned because of those campaigns or worse positioned? And also, do you think leftist ideas like a universal healthcare system or climate change action or protesting or like criminal justice reform, do you think any of those ideas are better or worse because of Bernie's campaign? I'm assuming you're going to say worse, but I would like you to explain why.
Sort of better. But
Okay.
not only because of Bernie's campaign. Because if you look at the trajectory of politics, even when Obama got elected,
I
that
agree.
was like an upsurge of people, of young people moving in a certain direction. Right? I voted for Obama.
Right.
That was the first person I ever voted
you
for. I
regret
didn't
that?
know any better. That's the thing. Obama was like my Bernie, if that makes any sense. He raised the hope expectations, and then he let us all down.
Okay, if you want, okay. But my point here is that, yes, are there criticisms of the Bernie Sanders campaign? Absolutely. Are there criticisms of Bernie Sanders as a person? Absolutely. However...
But it's not just criticisms. It's that we need to recognize how nefarious he really was. I would say, just to answer your question, again, you said, did all these progressive ideas gain more popularity? I think that's what you asked. Or like, did the left advance its position somehow? I think yes, but maybe we could have even advanced more without the Bernie campaign and something else in its stead.
well,
Can you imagine that or no?
yes,
Because I
absolutely.
see that Bernie actually, he took that energy, he built it somewhat, just like Obama did, right? He raised the hope and all that. Obama also had a big organization, not in the same way that Bernie's did, but he had grassroots support and organization. And then Obama demobilized it the second he won his office. And I think Bernie was kind of like designed to do the same thing. Bernie stopped people from becoming too militant under Trump, in my opinion. I think people could have become much more angry and more far left under Trump. But Bernie was pushing the whole Russiagate narrative and just going along with the Democrats instead. And he was kind of like pushing so-called responsible leftists, Sam Cedar types, to hold hands with the Democratic Party. So he took the energy that was already there and he kind of like diverted it. That's my opinion.
Okay, so were you on any of the Bernie Sanders campaign text lists, email lists?
No.
anything? Okay, so do you know what the Bernie Sanders campaign was doing since they suspended?
Since they suspended?
Yeah.
Bernie became a YouTube talk show host.
Right, okay, but do you know what the campaign apparatus was doing?
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, nothing.
You mean
so when
during
I
the
get
George
texts,
Floyd protests?
Yeah.
During the George Floyd protests?
When I get texts
yeah,
from the Bernie
I didn't
campaign
see.
about...
I actually saw one guy in all those protests. I'm in New York City. I saw one guy in those protests, a young black guy with a Bernie shirt on.
Wow, that's an amazing
I was
anecdote.
looking out. I was looking out. Like, yo, that wasn't Bernie people.
All right, awesome. Okay, so when there were ICE raids in specific cities, I remember getting texts from the Bernie Sanders campaign, even after it's suspended. When there were, specific protest action, especially in regards to climate change, right? Bernie was pushing groups like the Sunrise Movement, which, I have my criticisms of, but, I think that if someone's really big on that, they know a lot about that, it's better than nothing else. Now, if you want to say that it's a diversion, and instead of joining the Sunrise Movement, you should join like a militant Socialist Rifle Association chapter, I mean, we can maybe agree to, we can agree with that, but different people have different levels of possibility, right?
Would you recognize, though, that there is controlled opposition, right? There are groups.
Absolutely, I think there's controlled opposition. I feel like
there's groups that are designed to be like a fake rebellion.
Yes. I think that there were a lot of people in the Bernie Sanders campaign, like the campaign manager, and a lot of advisors to him that were very close, that were diverting his resources. Absolutely. Do I think Bernie
all the people that Bernie hired, right?
I don't think
his
so.
corporate friends.
But I think that there were a couple people in the campaign that were definitely not the greatest, if you want to give them the most charitable reading. Now, am I going to say
and doesn't that fall at Bernie's feet? Because a lot of people want to blame those people, but Bernie hired them, so he's the one responsible.
And I have been very critical of him for his staff choices. I think his 2016 staff was much better than the 2020 staff on the high campaign level. But at the same time,
I agree with that too.
At the same time, he also elevated people like Breonna Joy Gray to the press secretary. I think she's a wonderful spokesperson for the left, and I think giving her a platform such as he did, I think that outweighs a lot of things. As far as
and it seems that she's been pretty marginalized after she refused to kiss Biden's ass.
Absolutely. She's
been marginalized by the people who still like Bernie. I think, at this point, anybody who still likes Bernie is so fucking full of shit. It's like amazing. I've been like I've tried to be very sympathetic to Bernie supporters, even though I really hate Bernie. His supporters are generally good people, and I always expected that it's inevitable Bernie's going to sell these people out and they're going to move farther left. That's why I didn't try to be a dick to them too much. It was inevitable that he'd sell them out in 2016. I knew it. I'm not a psychic. It was just fucking obvious. I was like, yo, is he really going to do the same fucking trick again and people are going to fall for it? Yep, he did it again.
Okay. So, now what is the alternative?
What is the alternative?
Right, so you want Bernie to grab a Molotov cocktail and throw it into the Senate building?
No, Bernie could have mobilized his people at the beginning of the George Floyd protest, just like Jimmy Dore was saying. He could have mobilized people for actual labor actions, actual disruptive protests of different type, right? Because we know that there's a lot of protests. Can I just say, there's a lot of protests that don't disrupt society, even though they're well-meaning.
Yes.
It's not easy to disrupt society, right? I would say the vast majority of protests don't really disrupt anything, and they're just ignored. Okay. Bernie was the only one with the actual nationwide reach to be able to mobilize something even better. You imagine how those protests could have been if Bernie would have actually put his resources into it.
Right. Okay. So my contention here, you severely are overestimating Bernie's potential in this situation.
He didn't even try.
Okay. Now, my point here, Bernie Sanders is a politician, right? Supporting a politician on anything, in any capacity, is still supporting a politician at the end of the day.
He pretended to be a revolutionary, and a lot of people who think of themselves as leftists still think Bernie's a revolutionary. That's my issue.
Okay, so I'm going to kindly request that you let me finish a thought here, because you keep interrupting me and you keep saying the same thing, and then I'm a little stoned, so then I forget what I was saying. So my point here is that Bernie Sanders had a giant campaign apparatus. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And could he have used it for a more revolutionary purpose? Without a doubt. That is absolutely correct, and I agree with that analysis. Now, however, I will say my expectations are different, and I think that this is one of our main disagreements. I never expected Bernie to do this kind of stuff. So, for example, when I was on the Bernie campaign trail, I met a lot of people. Hey, what do you identify as? Oh, I'm a social democrat. Oh, I'm a communist. I'm an anarchist. I believe we need to destroy the system. And I've had conversations with people on the Bernie campaign. I've pushed them to the left. Campaign organizers, right? I've had so many, because that's what that was my thing I wanted to do. I wanted to join the campaign, meet a lot of new people, right? It's a good avenue to meet people. That was my first and foremost concern. The people that I met, like you said, they are good people. They're willing to be pushed. And I pushed as many Bernie people as I possibly could, as far left as I possibly could, with the limited time that I had on the campaign trail. Now, I will say the Bernie people are not some like radical leftist organization. There was a huge coalition of people, right, that supported Bernie Sanders that were left liberals, that were center-left liberals, that were liberals at the end of the day, right? And that is something that I think is a generational thing. Most of the people that I met on the Bernie campaign that were over the age of 30 were liberals. There were people who saw that Bernie was just the best option. These are like maybe old school union people, old school labor people that just don't like the corporate Democrats but are still kind of like, you know, they're old school. They remember supporting, you know, like, I don't know, like Jimmy Carter or some shit. Like I met a couple people that were really old, you know, like 60, 70, and they were really nice guys, but they weren't communists. They weren't anarchists. And I don't think it's reasonable to expect those people to become anarchists after, like, you know, like a campaign like Bernie Sanders. I think we need to manage our expectations here. I think that is one of the things that is diverting a lot of attention, is that we are not managing, well, you specifically coming in and saying like Bernie Sanders is a fake revolutionary. I don't think he ever really tailored himself to be a revolutionary. His whole thing was, I think we need a political revolution, right? And he never, like, he always made it abundantly clear that at the end of the day, his thing was organizing people, right? That was the campaign apparatus. Fight for someone you don't know is one of his slogans, right? I met a lot of people in the Bernie campaign. It helped us organize things. And then at the end of the day, he's a politician. He endorses politics, right? He endorses politicians. He has used his campaign to raise money for grassroots politicians in local city council races, right? In state senate races, in state house races, something that
and then
no
those
one else
people
does.
win and they support the Democratic establishment.
Well, okay. Can you tell me what else is going to happen in 2027? Because that hasn't happened yet. So?
That the squad is already supporting the Democratic establishment. That hasn't happened yet.
See, this is my problem.
AOC won her election, has she not been kissing Pelosi's ass?
She actually, over the past 3 weeks, has been attacking corporate Democrats nonstop on her Twitter page. But my point here is that
after she already got them elected and now they can ignore her, she could go back to being an internet celebrity. When she could have actually had leverage by saying, yo, we're not going to vote for you unless XYZ, right? Okay. Now she wants to talk a bunch of shit online.
All right, so my point is we need to manage our expectations. Can you expect AOC to go in there with a Molotov cocktail and set the Congress on fire? That's not going to happen, okay? Now, AOC has
the best thing that she could do is just be obstructionist, because at the end of the day, anything that the Democrats want to pass, they can still pass. Anything that anybody wants to pass that has enough support without the squad, like, they're not a significant enough group numerically to do anything, but at least just be obstructionist.
Okay, so
and just say, yo, this whole system is bullshit, because at the end of the day, them being elected to office is kind of like a fake position anyways. They cannot do anything. So what is the whole point of, like, acting like that's a serious strategy, acting like, oh, well, at least Bernie's getting all these people in, so what? That's actually a diversion.
So what's the alternative?
What is the alternative to running these fake electoral campaigns?
Well, I was going to cover a story until my computer melted down about Guatemala setting their Congress on fire in response to a budget thing.
Yeah, I commented that in your chat.
Is that something you think we should do in America?
Not quite in that way, because a building is just a building. They can rebuild that. We need to build insurgencies that are capable within the law of undermining the state, that are capable of arming the masses within the law. I don't advocate for anything illegal, of course, but
of course.
I think it would be very possible to use the limited gun rights. I mean, the major expansive gun rights that some people have in some places, and the limited gun rights that people have in other places, like in New York City. We have the strictest fucking gun laws in the whole damn country. I wonder if AOC has ever even said anything about that, or even supports, like, arming the masses. I highly doubt it.
I don't
but
really
yeah, within
see...
the law,
I don't
Within
really.
the law, we can arm the masses and build what is called dual power, which is basically what the Black Panther Party tried to do. They administered governmental functions that the government was failing to do, like feeding the people, clothing the people, serving different needs of the community. I think that would be very possible, more so than trying to get these celebrity activists like AOC into office and then thinking they're going to do something significant for us. They're
Well,
not.
I will say that AOC has used her campaign funds for mutual aid in her district and stuff. Now, is it as good as it could be? No, but it's something. It's better than we've seen from most politicians. So I will say that up front. She does use her campaign apparatus to raise funds for charity and for her district. That is something that she has done. Now,
There's always been charity under capitalism,
that's
right?
great. That's great. Okay, so are you saying that AOC and the squad should support an armed revolution?
They should support arming the masses as part of an overall program of empowering the working class. Yeah, do we have the Second Amendment or not? Should progressives support that or not?
I
Should
personally am
AOC
pro-gun.
support that or not?
I am personally pro-gun,
Exactly.
but I don't think AOC in the New York's 14th congressional district, I don't think that her taking up a vehemently pro-gun stance is going to do anything good for the left. I don't. Now, guns in the United States I don't think that we need guns. I think any money that you're going to be spending on guns should probably be spent on food or learning to grow food. Now,
It's not one or the other. It shouldn't be one or the other.
it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But we need to prioritize things, right? Now, if we can get to
Self-defense should be a priority because it's not only the immediate practical use of it, but also the psychological impact.
Right.
People who don't have a martial culture, right?
right.
Their politics are going to reflect that.
Okay.
People who have never would you say I'm wrong about that? That people who don't have any experience of confronting violence are generally that's gonna shape them psychologically, and that's gonna shape
Yes.
their politics.
People are a product of their environment.
Malcolm X talked about the need for a black nationalist army years before the Black Panther Party came into existence.
Yeah, sure.
You could just say he was just full of hot air. He was just talking shit. In a way, yeah. But you kind of have to put those ideas out there and win people to this idea
I agree.
of actually defending
agree.
themselves, having guns, not relying on the cops,
I agree.
recognizing that the cops aren't going to be there for you, even if you like the cops.
I agree.
They're not going to be there for you
That's
when
what
you
I
need
do
them.
on my channel all the time, so we're in agreement there.
So then why do you think AOC shouldn't be doing that, even though you claim to agree with all that? Is
AOC
she not
is
supposed
in
to
New
be a
York's
community
14th
leader?
AOC is in New York's 14th congressional district. If she wants to
And
run
isn't she supposed to be a community leader?
if she wants to run a national presidential campaign, and to do so she adopts a pro-gun platform, I would definitely support that without a doubt. Now,
But she wouldn't.
Okay, so now what I was saying earlier before you interrupted me was that we need to prioritize helping our community. Now, I don't think guns are a net positive for most people, right? I personally don't like guns. I'm pro-gun, and I want to train with guns, but if I could delete all guns, I would in a heartbeat. Weapons of
I would
war
too.
are absolutely disgusting. So when I say what if we have limited resources, we should spend it more on community organizing rather than guns. Now, do I think self-defense is good? Absolutely. But I think using guns as like an organization point, I don't know if that's a strategic form of organizing. A lot of people, a majority actually of Americans, do not like guns. So it's going to be hard to organize a lot of people on those principles. It's easier to spend resources on things like community gardens, food banks, mutual aid programs, like, maybe pharmaceutical delivery services, that kind of stuff. It's way easier. You can get way more people on board starting with that. Now, am I saying we don't need a vanguard? No, we definitely do need a vanguard. We need people that are well trained, well organized, and well armed. That is absolutely correct. But that shouldn't be a prime organizing principle, especially not with the current makeup of the United States of America when it comes to, again, a super majority even don't like guns. Like, they don't want guns, they want to ban guns, they want to restrict guns. So yeah, we have to deal with that situation. Right, and if we tie ourselves to the sinking ship of gun rights in this country, which I do think guns will be more restricted under a Biden administration, one thing I don't like about Joe Biden, right? Do I think that we should tie ourselves to that with right-wingers and Trumpers? I'm not necessarily willing to make that coalition. If you think that that's a good idea, I'd like to hear that explanation. I would rather organize under food programs, again, community gardens, that kind of stuff.
It's
right?
not one or the other.
It's
you
not.
already
It's
said
definitely not one or the other. But you have to pick what your priority is, I think.
You should put it all together, just like the Black Panthers did. They had a program that involved more than self-defense. Self-defense was their 7th point on the program. But practically, it was the first thing that they did. It was the very first thing that they ever did. They publicly represented themselves with guns and their 10-point program in their community and went around talking to people about the need for not just guns, that's just objects, but they talked about the need for a community organization able to responsibly hold those guns.
And what happened?
And so the very first thing that they did was police the police quite successfully at first for about a year before they made open carry illegal. And even then, the organization still thrived for several more years.
But ultimately, those ideas are not mainstream anymore. And I don't even think they were mainstream
not
at
anymore.
the time. And it's an absolutely great example, and we should take a lot of research from that example, and we need to broaden it to the biggest possible horizons. And I don't think limiting I think we need less central organizational things like Black Panther and more decentralized like groups that work in tandem. Like, I think that, yes, having a Socialist Rifle Association or whatever chapters spread throughout the southern and midwestern United States, I think that's a great idea. Now, I think a lot of those people can be part of other organizations, and those organizations can work together, but you have to understand, a supermajority of Americans do not like guns. So we need to also have these other principles that are divorced from that, so that people don't like guns. They don't need to
It depends who you talk to and how you talk to them about it. I wouldn't agree with that statement in general, that people just don't like guns. I think people are scared of guns because they see who has the guns. They see, I'm speaking from the point of view of somebody in New York City, the strictest gun laws in the whole world. I was always taught to believe that guns were bad. The only people who have guns are cops and criminals. And if you need to defend yourself, just fight. And don't be a pussy by using guns.
I agree with that in theory.
They want us to be disarmed. They want us to we have a mystified view of guns. Let's put it that way. That's how I see it. We need to demystify the whole topic of guns.
I agree.
In my community, in immigrant communities, and Black and brown communities.
I agree.
And that's something that's really lacking from people who consider themselves like responsible leftists. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Bernie supported gun rights in his state, but he's still cool with the whole Democrat gun control bullshit everywhere else.
Yes, because that was a coalition that could garner more support at the end of the day, I believe.
So they're still following along with this this idea that gun control is a leftist thing.
Okay. Sure.
That they're literally disarming the people psychologically when they're supposed to be the progressive leaders, right? Bernie, AOC, and all of them. They're actually going along with disarming the community.
Well, no, we're not disarming the community because the communities aren't armed. They're not armed to begin with.
Yeah, because of decades of gun control, and actually centuries, right? Ever since slavery, blacks weren't allowed to have guns.
Yeah,
so they're going
I'm
along
perfectly in
with
favor
the power
of responsible
structure.
gun ownership and organization under those principles. At the same time, like, do I think we should knock on the door? Hey, you want to join my gun club? Like, I don't know. Like, we need to
Depends
make
who you talk to.
I personally
Depends how you talk to them about it too. It's not just the guns, like I said.
I personally would
be
not feel comfortable, like, in a situation with guns with literally any other person that I don't know.
Okay, well, I live in a city where the cops, right, in every city, everywhere, cops walk around with guns. You don't have to feel comfortable with it. It's there. So you got to get people comfortable with the idea of having their own guns. It's not about what you're comfortable with, all right? It's the reality we live. We live under the gun.
Yes, that's correct. So
our whole lives we've lived under the gun.
Right, that's true. Now, the situation with the police and armaments in the 50s and 60s is a lot different than it is now. Now, the police have tanks. They've got unlimited amounts of tear gas. They've got LRADs, which are capable of permanently making you deaf. They've got biological weapons. They've got,
Okay, so what?
I don't think with it. I think that ship has sailed.
From my understanding, SWAT teams were designed initially to attack the Black Panther Party.
Yeah, and they're very successful.
It still didn't wipe them out overnight. It still didn't wipe them out overnight. Ultimately, there were political reasons that they were defeated, not just the military reasons. They actually fought against the military attacks, at times successfully.
Sure. I think that the ship has sailed for an armed revolution ever having any possibility of happening.
In my opinion, that's a form of American exceptionalism.
How so?
People in leftists in first world countries tend to think that they're responsible by saying that armed struggle can never happen again in a successful way for the left. It's a form of American exceptionalism. The fact is that throughout history, the powerful people won't let a peaceful revolution happen. COINTELPRO, right, the counterintelligence program, the attacks on the left, the destruction of the Black Panther Party, that was all right, pretty much initiated by the state, and they're never going to let a peaceful revolution happen. So if we don't have a movement that's able to actually defeat COINTELPRO, not just with guns, right, it's much bigger than guns, but actually being able to protect our organization from different kind of infiltration, neutralizing people who do infiltrate, right, because eventually it will happen. Like, without all those tools, that ability to fight the state and actually defeat the state, we'll have nothing but ideas. We'll be nothing but Bernie Sanders waving his arms around in the air for decades.
Okay. I present to you an alternative worldview. Instead of having guns and trying to eventually overthrow the government and in a result to get all arrested and thrown into prison or killed, I would suggest if we do things, and I know I'm harping on this, but things like education on food, things like providing healthy food, right, to everyone in your city, devoid from capitalism, is a huge step. We don't need guns to accomplish it. We honestly don't need that many resources. At the end of the day, all it really is an organizing thing. I don't think we can have a successful armed revolution in this country because of the things like the CIA, because of militarized police forces. That is not a form of American exceptionalism. I do not see how like saying that America has us by the balls is like, I don't see how that's like blessing America in any fashion. I think it's the opposite. I think it's saying America is an imperial hegemon even on its own people. That's like,
I don't think they're invincible. No government is. And it's not...
They're not invincible.
Right, if we look at the history of war, I'm no expert on this, but there's usually political reasons that lead to defeat or victory, that those political reasons are sometimes even more significant than the military reasons. Sometimes weaker forces can defeat stronger forces through the application of certain strategies and tactics. Usually forces that can be very powerful in terms of hardware, right? The tanks, the LRADs, the drones, all the shit that they can have weaknesses politically. What would happen if the US government split against itself? Like, there could be a multi-sided civil war where I can envision the police state going against each other. There's white supremacists, like explicit white supremacists in the military, in the police forces, right? Then there's like liberal racists. Then there's even black and brown people. Some of them they're on all different kind of shit. They're not as united as it seems.
I agree.
That's what I think.
I
think if they split against each other, then a multi-sided civil war could eventually lead to some progressive victories.
I agree with that.
I don't think the U.S. state is all powerful. I think it will possibly be defeated. Maybe not. But I think it's the only chance we have.
Now,
if there was a better way, I would be with it.
My calculation is I'm not going to bet on that. My calculation is that is not going to happen. And I am not going to base my organization or my organizing or my methodologies around that happening. I think that is a significantly unlikely, probably the most unlikely outcome, is that there's going to be a multi-sided civil war and that like progressive like gun owners can take power and like Oregon and then like have a stronghold that eventually gets rolled over by a tank. I don't think that that's going to happen. And I think if it does happen, so many people are going to die, and I think it's just going to be a really bad time. Now, am I down to prepare for that if we have time? Absolutely. But I'm more interested in giving people what they need today.
Okay, and I don't think it's either or. I agree with your proposal about food. I agree with your community food program. I think that's good. I think that's smart. I think that's the kind of thing that we should be doing as well. But it should always be, we should always have a vision where those community programs can help people understand the need for an actual insurgency and a real war. If we're not doing that, we're not educating the people.
I'm all in favor of that, but I think our main difference here is that you are saying electoralism is bad and should be avoided at all costs. I'm saying electoralism is an arrow in the quiver. I think that is our main disagreement here.
I don't think it's an arrow in the quiver. Maybe it's an arrow with a very dull point. It has no real ability to do anything right now. I think in the future that could possibly change. Like, if you can actually have people run for office who do have a militant armed groups behind them, that would give that politician a lot of leverage. I remember we were talking about this in regards to AOC in our first conversation, and our phone call suspiciously dropped when I brought this up. I don't know if you caught that. But I was saying that AOC being in power is a... What happened?
It's suspiciously dropped? What is that?
Yeah, the conversation, we had to call you back.
Right,
I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, like, when I was in the middle of trying to make this point, I do remember I never got to make this point because the phone call dropped.
Right, it was very suspicious.
So now
it was like, you know,
it was the state, bro. They're trying to stop me from saying my brilliant ideas.
I mean, that's
anyways.
Very possible.
Point is,
you were sensitive.
Point is, I want to make the point now since I couldn't make it in our first conversation. AOC being in power is like kind of like a joke because there is no militant organization with leverage that could back her up. No like strong unions or any group able to put a consequence on the capitalist state. So AOC being in power, she could be nothing more than an internet celebrity, even if she wanted to. And
now,
I'm saying that we're putting the cart before the horse by putting these little celebrity activists to try to win offices where they can't do anything. If you could actually have a militant grassroots movement and then run somebody, like if you could have a Malcolm X type of figure or several people like that and then run them for office eventually, I think elections could be an arrow in the quiver in a situation like that.
So, now you said the squad is all compromised, they're all fakes. Do you think the new incoming squad members are all compromised as well?
I haven't looked into them because there's no reason for me to think otherwise. Okay. I can assume that they're fakes until shown otherwise. I'd be willing to look into them or any evidence that would contradict that position, but it's still just a handful of people that can't do anything. Okay, they don't have anything to back them up.
Right.
Would you agree with that? They have no leverage.
They have no leverage right now. The strategy of electoralism is that, we had 4 in 2018. Now we're going to have like 9 in 2020, right? 2022 could have 15, like very like left-wing, left of, squad members, whatever you want to fucking call them, right? 2024, you could have 28. The idea is that, you don't get the results when you like start, like you don't write the first paragraph of an essay and then all of a sudden you've got the grade. Like you have to finish the full procedure. The electoralist strategy, which again, we only vote every couple years. I'm not even I didn't donate any time to the Biden campaign. I didn't donate any money to the Biden campaign. I did not do anything other than vote for the Biden campaign, right? Now, I think that we should do that with every single politician that does not agree with our worldview. So if someone in North Carolina, say a Senate candidate, agrees with my worldview, I would consider campaigning for them. I would consider working for them, because that's another thing, is I would also be able to meet more people. One of the things, I am in favor of these insurges into the Democratic Party because it allows me to meet people. Like I said, when I was on the Bernie campaign, I met a lot of people, and I was like, what's going to happen if we lose? And like we had these contingency discussions, and it's like you got to like push people and you got to meet people where they are, is my thing. And a lot of people have faith in electoralism. So if you can utilize electoralism to meet new people and to, broaden your contact list and to maybe get some short-term progressive, law like amendments or something, I think that is something that we should support. I don't think it's a diversion. However, one of the things is I do agree with its capability of being a diversion. And I would have maybe agreed if we started conversing before George Floyd was massacred on live television. Now, this has put a different kind of like organizing impetus in America right now with the anti-cop protests, right? These are completely divorced from all of the electoralist stuff. I think that these are two coexisting, completely like almost separate. If you were to have a Venn diagram, they would be like maybe touching and have a small cross section, right? Like you said, you were in New York, you saw one person with a Bernie shirt, right? I think that these are different people that you're going to meet in different locations, and you got to meet people where they are. Now, me personally, I'm willing to work on campaigns. I do YouTube videos, right? I live in a small town. Now, if I say there wasn't a pandemic, right? And I was more, more in a position where I could go out and organize stuff in my local community, I would be more willing to do so. However, also, I am a transgender woman in a southern state, right? The chances of me being murdered if I speak to the wrong person are very much above zero. So, also you have to expect people to do what they're capable of. And there's a lot of these situations where it's like, I feel like you're telling people that they all need to be doing or they all need to have this idea, and I think that the ideas are good. I think that they're good, but I think where the problem lies with us is that you are very dead set on electoralism being a diversion. I think it is a useful tactic for people like in my position. It's easy for me to go on a phone bank and do campaign organizing. It's less easy for me to organize a food program in a southern state, right? Like that is just not that easy for me. Right, in a state that voted and passed a law for trans people to be arrested if they go into the bathroom, I'm not comfortable doing this kind of stuff. And again, I hate to bring that up as if it's a component here, but that does change my perspective. I have less things in my tool belt that maybe you would or other people would. And so, but what that does is it influences my perspective to say you need to meet people where they are. Like a lot of people don't like guns. Now, I don't like guns. I'm willing to organize under guns, but not a lot of people are. So on my thing is we should just be more compassionate with what people,
to be honest.
Like you said, people are a product of their environment, and I think we need to read more into that.
I think the thing is, the big difference between you and me is partially this environmental question, because we come from polar opposite environments. I come from cities, Democrat-run cities.
Sure.
And you notice how we can have this conversation without anybody being a dum-dum?
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, and I apologize if I offended you. When you come into my chat room and the first message I see, especially again, I'm experiencing technical difficulties, right? My CPU is deciding to explode. And then I look at my chat room and I see you, if you voted for Biden, what's your plan now? I don't know, man. It rubs me the wrong way. So I apologize to you if I offended you. It was
an honest question, and you've... Look, my thing about the whole dum-dum thing is...
Triggered. I will say, I'm not above being triggered.
Yeah, you've yelled at me 10 times since
That's
we
correct.
Actually spoke.
I'm very emotional.
Voice chat. Yeah, my thing is... The whole dum-dum thing, it really does rub me the wrong way, because it's, in my view, very elitist. Going back to Jimmy Dore, my favorite dum-dum at least, he calls himself a dumbass... And I actually love that, because I think so many of the leftist... I call myself
an idiot as well.
Can I say many of the leftist commentators, like the Michael Brooks, Sam Cedar types, they're always calling people dumb, but I think they're really missing the point that politics is largely not about intelligence. There's people smarter than you or more informed than you on opposite sides of every fucking issue. So by them calling people dum-dums, they're actually calling themselves smart. And
I
honestly, I
disagree.
just want to smack the shit out of their fucking grins. Those fucking arrogant white leftists calling people dumbs.
I'm afraid you
calling
can no
people
longer
dumb for
slap
not
the shit
voting
out of Michael
Democrat.
Brooks because he's dead. But if you
I
want to
know.
go and harass Sam Cedar, hey, he lives in New York, so go track him down.
I know.
Right?
I hope I run into him one day.
So anyway, I think that again, you have to meet people where they are. I don't think calling someone stupid is implicitly saying that you're smart. I don't think so whatsoever.
I think it is. I think bringing up intelligence is honestly just like an elitist bullshit thing that has no significance. And I think it's because people like Sam Cedar are so used to making fun of Trump supporters and stuff and saying that they're dumb. And I don't even think that's very useful. Honestly, like that when he has a difference with leftists, he just adopts the same thing. Like, you know what it reminds me of? Internet atheists that just think they're fucking geniuses because they figured out like religion's bullshit.
Yes.
That's really what it reminds me of.
Now you're
and you know what?
language.
I'm an internet atheist too. I started off my channel.
Language.
But that's the point. Like you're bringing this same attitude of arguing against religion to arguing against people who actually have a legit point.
Now,
and so that arrogance just comes off looking just so bad.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not an arrogant person. I'm not an elitist person.
But it comes off that way every time you bring up. I would say you should stop calling anybody dullards, to be honest.
No,
like
no. The
it's
Daily
really
Dullard,
just useless.
I'm sorry.
It's not funny.
It is really funny. I'm sorry. It is really funny. I
think it should be used much more sparingly.
I disagree.
I think it's useless.
I disagree with that. Now, I've been called dumb before, and if someone calls me dumb and they're able to explain why, I listen. Now I call people dullards because it's fun. Again, a lot of my YouTube videos are cathartic release for me. So that's first and foremost. Now, I am not a smart person. I'm 24, right? I dropped out of high school. I am not educated, right? Most of my political opinions come from lived experience, being poor, being hungry, being malnourished, being sick without health insurance. Most of my political opinions come from lived experience, and I'm sure that you are probably in the same situation, right? You said you grew up in a city, right? You had to deal with cops on a, regular basis, that kind of stuff. I also dealt with cops. We are a product of our environments, right? However, my thing here, when I call you a dullard or say that you're a dum-dum, it is when I say dullard or dum-dum, I like those are really funny words to me, right? Like, I really don't see why someone would be extremely offended, and I'm not, trying to say you're extremely offended, but the idea that someone can get extremely offended by being called a dullard, I'm sorry. I mean,
I remember one of those times that you were just going off screaming and calling people dumb, including me.
Right?
You, in that very same rant, you were talking about how you wanted to be, what was it, ruthless to systems and compassionate to people,
yes.
Some shit like that. You were
yes.
talking about building unity and shit, and
Absolutely.
It's like, yo, to me that's just a fucking joke if you're gonna take that Sam Cedar approach.
That is a joke.
Yeah, not a funny joke. It's
the
like
joke is that people would get offended by being called a dullard. That's the joke.
Yo, look, man. Brianna Joy Gray and Cornel West had a great conversation before the election about whether or not you should vote for Biden. And that was one of the first times that somebody who was going to vote for Biden, like that I saw, didn't get all cranky and like imply that Brianna Joy Gray was just like illegitimate. Like, if you look at when Brianna Joy Gray talked to Noam Chomsky, yo, he acted like a grumpy fucking baby, and it actually just reminded me of how you act in those same conversations. And it's funny how like
I'm glad that I remind you of Chomsky. That's a compliment in my eyes.
Brianna Joy Gray and Cornel West were able to have the conversation without anybody being considered stupid or just being dismissed, right? But go in those same, comment threads under the Chomsky video, and it's way more divisive. Like, some people really made the voting for Biden thing a divisive thing where you're just stupid if you don't agree with them.
And if you got that impression, I consider you should watch more of my videos instead of reading the headlines.
It's not that I got the impression. Ask your viewers. That's the impression you were giving for
the viewers
weeks.
have been responding to this conversation in real time, and they've all been agreeing with me for the most part. Now, again, but they're biased. They're my viewers, right? Like, they wouldn't be here otherwise. So, I think you have a misinterpretation here. I am not much of a left unity person. I'm not about that stuff. being a trans person, I worked on the Bernie campaign. There were a lot of people I worked with that did not like trans people. It was weird. It was shocking, and it was bizarre, right? And I don't want to unify with them. I don't.
Some
I have
Bernie
no
supporters voted for Trump.
That's correct. I have no interest in unifying with those specific portions of people. I think the whole
Okay,
concept
so
of this
then
left
you
unity
need to
thing-
decide. You need to decide whether somebody who's refusing to vote Democrat is too dumb for you to unify with them, because that's the
not
impression
true.
you're giving.
A lot of my friends vote Green, voted PSL, wrote in Jesse Ventura. They wrote in Harambe. Some of my friends wrote in Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Cool. Like, this is my
Good.
thing. It's like, I'm not like this super electoralist person. It just so happens there's an election going on. Just so happens I like money, and a lot of my headlines have been about the election. But again, if you're judging my channel by the headlines, I can totally see that. But I think you need to listen, maybe not hear, but listen a little bit more to the things that I say. Now, when I call someone a dumb, like, and I also promote the idea that we should all get along in certain instances. I say that if someone is dumb, I'm still willing to organize with them on specific subjects. If someone hates transgender people, right, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to talk to them. But if they want to vote for Bernie Sanders and then that can give transgender people health care, fuck it. Let them. Right? That's my position.
Okay. All right.
So I think that when I call people dullards, it's maybe because I don't want to interact with them on a personal level. And I'm not trying to say I don't want to interact with you on a personal level. I just talked to you for an hour so far, right? So my thing is like, it's not you have to like kind of divest that. I'm very self-aware. Now, it's possible that like Kyle Kalinske or Sam Cedar have main character syndrome, and they like you see them as like people that like preach what should and should happen as if they're decreeing things. I'm more than willing to be proven wrong.
Sam Cedar, it's not just him personally, but everyone on his show. Just the other day, they were saying Jimmy Dore's not even part of the left. They constantly make videos calling Jimmy an idiot, calling him Jimmy Dore.
And I think that's completely fine. I think that's acceptable.
You're right. It's acceptable if you want to not ever be respected by those people.
Well,
so,
I can't speak for anyone
you just
else.
said the opposite, so you're kind of distinguishing yourself. You're saying that you have friends who voted third party and all that shit, and you're still cool with them. Okay,
Yeah.
so just know there is a large section of... They call themselves the left, right? All the Sam Cedar viewers constantly say left is best, left is best, left is best. That's like their fucking slogan.
It is,
but
actually.
They
It's on
say
their
Jimmy
merchandise.
Dore is not even part of the left. So does that mean that a lot of people who like Jimmy Dore aren't even part of the left too? I bet, motherfucker.
Well, I think one of the problems here is you are correct in your analysis that they do make a lot of fun of Jimmy Dore, and I must say on a personal
Specifically
level,
for
I
him
love
not
those
voting
videos.
Democrat.
Specifically
for him not voting Democrat.
It goes a little deeper than that.
Sam Cedar has his head up the Democrat Party's ass. He's a total fucking hack. He's a piece of shit, yo.
I mean, I disagree with that entirely. But it's possible that these people like are decreeing things, and or at least you perceive it in that fashion, and other people do. I say we should be taking all these people less seriously, right? Like, for me, example, I'm talking to you. I know Sam Cedar has people call in on a show. He's never answered my phone calls, the fucker, right? He censored me.
He fucking silences them if they start making a good point. He interrupts them and then he just says a whole bunch of other bullshit. He's a piece of shit.
I
And, just
disagree
let me
with that
clarify, I'm
characterization,
not...
however.
Just in case Sam Cedar's lawyers ever hear this shit, I'm not gonna slap him or put a finger on him. All right? I'm not gonna touch him, but I'm gonna set him straight. I hope I see that little motherfucker around.
Well, okay. I mean, first of all, I would chill out a little bit. I think if you're going to jump someone on the city streets, I think Sam Cedar's
No, I'm not
probably
gonna jump
low
him.
on
I'm
that
gonna set him
priority
straight.
list.
I'm gonna show why he's a liberal piece of shit. I'm just gonna explain to him very peacefully and calmly why he's just a liberal piece of shit.
All right, I'm sure. Please record it. I would love to see it.
That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. Be sure to record it. If you ever see him, get your phone out immediately.
Yo, I promise it'll happen.
Okay. Now, personally, I like
if
Sam
I see
Cedar.
him.
I listen to a show. I listen to a couple shows. Now, I don't. I listen to Jimmy Dore sometimes when a video comes across my recommended feed that I'm like, okay, I'll pop this on. I agree with Jimmy on a lot of stuff. Now, my big things of disagreement with Jimmy are why I think he's a demobilizer, and I think that you're falling for that, and that's my opinion. Now, calling someone a dullard and still promoting unity, you can do both, right?
Do you think he's demobilized me?
I do think so, in a little bit of a way, yeah.
Really?
Sure.
How so?
Well, I just think the idea that you are 100% against electoral politics in any circumstance, I think that that's just a silly position. I think voting...
Isn't there any other way to be politically active that is actually more significant? So then why is... How am I being demobilized by not being involved in electoral politics?
I just think that you should do everything at your disposal, personally. And I'm not saying that because you don't vote... Again, I have a lot of friends who don't vote.
I was going to vote for Bernie. As much as I hate that motherfucker, that fraud, I was going to vote for him because I thought he was a lesser evil. Biden was not a lesser evil. But yo, honestly, that whole... Unless you got anything more to say about that bullshit, like, I don't think... I want to ask you some other shit. If you even have time. I know I've been talking to you for a long time.
Yeah, I don't usually stream this long. You hijacked my whole show here, but give me like a lightning round. Let's just go through.
All right, because I was thinking about this for a while. I want to know, and I'm not trying to like take this in an honest way if possible. I want to understand, why do you call yourself a communist? I'm not trying to revoke your communist credentials. I just honestly want to understand, why do you call yourself a communist?
I believe in community ownership of the means of production. I think we should all work together to do what is best for all of us.
Okay, community ownership of the means of production. And how do you think that could happen?
Well, like I said, my big thing would be to organize food programs, divorce people from their relationship with capital. If, say, for example, you can go up to someone and say, hey, we got an organization, we can pay for your property tax, we can pay for your rent, we can pay for your mortgage, we can feed you, if you want to help us out, oh, you can do plumbing? Awesome, we need a plumber, right? I feel like those, that's something that we should build. Like, why go to work for a corporation like, oh, I need to work at my minimum wage McDonald's job or Domino's or fucking, Walmart? I mean, if you need a job, you need a job. But what I think we should do is we should divorce our need for that job. If you can, in any capacity, divorce people from the necessary, systems of capitalism, that's a good thing.
Okay, I agree with that. So you basically want to create alternative institutions where we can divest our connection to capitalism.
Yes,
is that it?
Absolutely.
Okay. I do agree with that as a tactical thing that we can be doing, but strategically in the long term, I want to point out that communism has a long history, right? This word, people have used it to mean many things at different times, just like the word socialist.
Sure.
And I do remember you were kind of like bragging the other day about never having read the Communist Manifesto
or
like any like major works.
I just don't care.
Sounded like you were bragging, right? Yeah, you don't care.
No, I mean, I you have to understand, I'm a very sarcastic person. It's possible that my things can be misinterpreted, but I mean, I'm a very sarcastic person. Like, the way I set things up, the way I frame things, almost all the time, tongue-in-cheek. So that's just something throwing that out there. So it sounded like I was bragging. I mean, I wasn't making any, intellectual, crusade about it. I was just saying, yeah,
you were being very dismissive, and it seemed like you were pointing out that it's kind of irrelevant because it's old. Is that right?
I think that if I'm going to read a book, I would rather read a book with a little bit more modern perspective. I'm not as huge of a reader as I should be, and that's something that I work on. But I'm not going to read a book from the 1800s. I would rather read a book that is a modern day analysis of a book from the 1800s, for example. That's my thing. I also think the broad perspective of that is I am not a huge fan of people that shove theory in people's faces. There's a lot of college campus communist kind of things, like Marxist Leninist kind of kind of vibes where people are just go read Marx. Go read Marx. Why don't you read Marx? I think that's annoying. So if it sounded like I was bragging about not reading it. In my opinion, you also
shouldn't be so smug about dismissing something that you don't know much about, because no ideas are new under the sun, and you call yourself a communist. And while I agree with your whole idea of building institutions, divest yourself from capitalism, ultimately what makes Marxism different from more utopian socialist ideas that came before it was that they centered revolutionary class struggle as the method to get from point A to point B. And there have been people who kind of talk the same kind of stuff you're talking. Like, they thought that they would be able to, like, build alternative societies. There were even, like, rich people who funded these kind of communes and experiments.
Right.
And then, like, Marx and Engels, Lenin, like, summed up, like, those histories and what happened, how they didn't work out, why they didn't work out, and basically reasserting over and over the need for a revolutionary class struggle, the need to ultimately beat the state in a war. As crazy as that might sound, that is just a law of history. Like, the working class has to defeat the bourgeois state in war. That is the only way to achieve significant power. So it's like, if you haven't like looked into these things, just recognize that your own ideas are not new. Like, as much as you think Marxism is old, your proposal of communism is older.
Absolutely. I take a lot of inspiration from, like, you know, indigenous populations and stuff. I love that kind of stuff. Like, I love the idea of not having any property whatsoever, having no home, just roaming around in communities. Like, that sounds awesome.
So are you a primitivist then?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so then we need a communist ideology that's modern, right? That's
Absolutely.
what you're talking
That's
about?
why I try to tie together technology. Like I was saying before, social media is a huge game changer, even over the last 5 years, the last 6 months.
Okay, so I would just strongly encourage you to look into Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Mao especially.
Sure.
And you might think it's totally irrelevant or be dismissive of it. And I know many anarchist types are very dismissive of it. But it's not just those men, like those individual men, but those huge world experiences that came along with their ideas, right? They were a product of their environment as well. And people have fought, died, and killed over these ideas. So it's really important that we not dismiss them. That's my opinion.
I don't
Especially
dismiss them.
if you're going
Again,
to call yourself a communist.
I'm a very sarcastic person, so I feel like there's a misinterpretation there. Now, my dismissal might be just because I don't need a book to get my politics from. Now, again, a lot of these types...
But your politics have come from somewhere. You may think they haven't, but they have come from somewhere. Okay. So, and I'm sure some of your ideas are in a book. Like I said, utopian socialism is much, much older than Marxism.
Absolutely.
Marxism is the modern trend in socialism compared to that.
My point is, you're not going to get anywhere telling poor people to read books. That's my point.
I'm not talking to random people in the corner about this shit. I'm talking
about
to you.
I'm talking about you in the general sense. You know, like,
sure, and I agree with you. I don't think you should go around just talking all this bullshit to random people. It wouldn't make any fucking sense. But exactly. I'm talking to someone with an Antifa flag on her wall who says she's a communist. So yeah. I feel that it is appropriate to bring this up here.
It is, and that's fine. But my point is, when I said that, like, I was being very sarcastic. I'm a very sarcastic person. I don't know if you've understood that yet.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, look at the title for the show.
There are many people. Sure, but do you recognize that maybe you were being sarcastic? Okay, fine. Clarified it. But there are many anarchist types, white left types who are very... Well, there's white left types who are really into Marxism too. But there's like a specific type who is very dismissive of the historical experience of fighting for socialism. They would just dismiss the idea of reading Mao, Lenin, and Marx, just saying that all that shit's irrelevant. So even you might not have meant it, but there are many people in these left circles who do think like that. So that's what I'm addressing.
Well, I mean,
we should take it more seriously. And we would all benefit from you being more knowledgeable about Marxism. Everybody would benefit. True. Everyone who listens to you.
That's probably true. And hey, I might read more of that stuff at some point. Like, again, I've got a lot of books on my list. You know, I don't read as much as I should, but I do my best. And, you know, like, that's my thing. I'm only one person. But as far as, like, the book stuff goes, I mean, I know a lot of people. Now, anyone that I did not meet via political campaigns and stuff, anyone that I've met via any other apparatus, and even, let's be honest, most political campaign people I've met, they don't read books. Not a single book. Like, if you were to go into this chat room, like, outside, like, a couple people, you know, like, that are really heavily into politics will read a lot of books, but most people are going to say, I haven't read a book since high school. So that's just, like, that was just my joke. You know, that's where I was going. And I do think that there is merit to the idea that if you need a book to explain your ideas, like, that, you know, your ideas need some refining. Now, I'm not trying to say that the source material is bad. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't study from it. There are people that are studying from it, and if someone wants to study from it and transmit those ideas to me, that's great. Or if I want to study from it and transmit those ideas to other people, that's great. But my point was just that was a tongue-in-cheek little statement about there are people that do want to shove books in people's faces. Now, there's a lot of people on every side, I call myself an anarchist communist because I agree with both of those principles. I think a decentralized approach is something that should be prioritized over a centralized approach. You might think, oh, this person voted for Biden, they must love centralized approaches. No, I don't. That's not my thing. I think it's an arrow in the quiver, and that's about as much as I'm willing to give it. Now, also, it's something that unites a lot of people. I have met a lot of people that found my videos because they were looking for. They hate Donald Trump. They found my channel. They listened for a couple months, and now they're down with mutual aid. They're down with all of this stuff. So that's kind of my approach. My approach is just be as sarcastic, try to be as regular as possible. But I am a little eccentric. But my approach is yeah, if I'm going to talk about the election, I'm going to talk about the election. But I'm not just going to say the horse race of it. I'm not just going to talk about Donald Trump loses 13. I might do that, but then I'm also going to extrapolate when the time comes.
Okay.
Did I answer the question? I don't remember.
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
You answered why you're communist.
Yes, that was the question.
And I am sufficiently happy with that response.
Sufficiently happy, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that.
All right. Is there anything else you need?
No, you've fulfilled all my needs. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, again,
right.
if we're going to end this, I'm sorry I called you a dum-dum. If I call you a dum-dum, try not to take it so seriously. Consider me a clown. Consider me a jester, if that makes it a little easier for you.
In general, though, just know to me, it reminds me of these arrogant white leftists, and it just sickens me. And I do think it's very divisive. And
I don't disagree with that analysis.
If anything, just let me say, I think Jimmy Dore really figured something out by calling himself dumb. I think we should all call ourselves dumb more often, because in my experience, when you try to organize people, especially people who have lower education levels than you, most people try to portray themselves as very intelligent so that people will listen to them. And that kind of works with some people, but a lot of people just they'll think you're arrogant. If anything, I think leftists need to try to be stupider. Stupider, and then
that's exactly
let people
my
figure
thing.
out whether you're smart or not. Let them be the judge.
Well,
you don't need to call anybody
Trump
dumb or tell them how fucking smart you are.
I have the Daily Dullard segment. I'm a very non-serious person, so
Sure.
I hope that that's good for your estimation. But I don't think.
I think
that we
you
need
could
to
be a little
exclude smart
dumber,
people.
but you're getting there.
You think I need to be a little dumber?
But you're getting there.
All right. Well, maybe I'll work on that.
It's just this kind of con man form of confidence. Con man, the con part actually means confidence.
Sure.
I think that people like Sam Cedar are confidence men when it comes to politics. They say things in such a smug, self-assured way that a lot of people who think, oh, well, this guy's really smart, so I should listen to him, they're morally pressured to agree because they don't want to be seen as dum-dums. And I think that's the wrong way to convince people about shit. I think that there's an
analysis there that I can agree with, but I listen to Sam Cedar show, and I don't get that from him. But I also,
because you probably agree with him when he's calling people dumb.
I agree. I think calling people dumb is something that can be very healthy. That's one of my favorite things about his shows, that he does call people dumb when they are dumb. I think the idea of oh, Trump supporters aren't bad people, it's just economic anxiety. Yeah, there's a thing there about that, and you can say there's a lot of people that would vote for Trump. But if you're going out there with a Trump 2020 sign screaming "Stop the Steal," you are a dumb person. And I do think that there is 20 to 25%.
But it's coming from a liberal point of view, which is my problem.
It's coming from I am a trans woman and they want to kill me point of view. That's
sure, but that's you. But there are a lot of liberals who do think of themselves as superior to these Trump supporters,
and they
are better educated, but they're not actually better politically, in my opinion.
Politically, yes. No, Republicans are very, very good politically, but that's also because they've got money behind them.
They're all bad, is what I'm saying. But these liberal people that fill up my city where I live at, they think they're not racist Trump supporters, and they think they're superior. But it's
liberals are very cringe. That's true.
Like, yo, I grew up in those kind of places where like white people think because they're liberal that they're down and they're cool with you and shit, and they're not. Like,
Sure.
liberals honestly are just as bad as conservatives on many, many things,
I
and
agree.
sometimes they're even worse because they think they're so fucking smart
I
that you
agree.
can't get through to them.
That's absolutely correct.
I think you said in the past, correct me if I'm wrong,
I
think
will.
you said something about I think you said something about how we should like get Democrats elected everywhere as much as possible, and something
Yes.
about like liberals being kind of like, I don't know how you phrased it, but like liberals are like a pool that we can like recruit out of and like make them farther left, and we should be, it seemed like you're saying that we should, like, leftists should target liberals as our main recruitment pool, and I actually really disagree with that. I think that's one of our main
I wouldn't
differences.
exclusively go after liberals. If I'm going to, I convert someone or whatever terminology you want to use. If I'm going to do that, I think liberals are better. Now, again, this is coming from the perspective of a transgender person who most conservatives, if I interact with a conservative, chances are they're threatening to kill me. So that's my perspective. You might have a differing one, and that's completely fine.
And even then, you've had some pretty outrageous Trump supporters on your channel, and once you actually got down to talking, it didn't seem like they wanted to kill you.
Well, I mean, I can tell you from my experience, I mean, I don't know if you've listened to every Trump supporter, but I have, because it's my channel and I've spoken to all of them. I can tell you it's probably about 75 want to kill me, 25 don't.
Okay. And these liberals don't think that black people should be killed by right-wing groups. They think black people should be killed by police wearing uniforms,
I
following
agree,
rules.
liberals are bad, but I mean, I think that there is a little bit more room there for me to pull away from. I think if a liberal wants to go like, oh, let's listen to the transgender woman to see like, and I'll abuse that, fuck it. I'm their target demographic. Come get me.
For some people, being a liberal is just a stepping stone to being a leftist, but for many it's not. It's a lifelong political delusion. Would you agree or disagree?
I think most of those people are wealthy, though.
I don't even think so. I think some of them are just overeducated idiots.
That is true. I
who
mean, again,
think they're way
I dropped
too
out of high
smart to
school.
learn from anyone. Yeah, I think we should be targeting the half of the country that doesn't vote. That's the main
I agree.
group of people that I think the left should be targeting. Fuck liberals. If they want to change their minds, I'll welcome them with open arms. But
Well, you were
it's
comparing
not
liberals
about
to
befriending
conservatives.
liberals.
I think apolitical people are a great primordial soup. That was the whole impetus of the Bernie Sanders campaign.
I think they're the main ones we should be focused on.
Absolutely agree.
When somebody tells me that voting is bullshit, even if they say they don't know anything about politics, I already know that they know something about politics.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I said I have a lot of friends who don't vote, right? And it's because I agree with them. Now, again, if they lived in a swing state, I would let them know that my opinion is I would like you to vote for Biden because I want to have health care, right? But that's just my opinion. If they disagree, then they disagree. If they whatever, that's fine. If you live in a city where voting takes 7 hours and you don't have that kind of time, fuck it. Don't vote. You don't need to. That's not your responsibility, right? I was very certain that Biden would get across the finish line with or without the help of any leftist. I think if the entire Bernie Sanders coalition voted for Howie Hawkins, I think Biden would have still won. And that's because I think the Bernie Sanders coalition was not as big as it needs to be. But there is a good working primordial soup, if you will, of non-voters and apolitical types that, once they're more like educated on just how the government's fucking them, that there would be more people that are more like interested in, again, building dual power, building these community programs, divorcing themselves from the need to be at the feet of these people. A lot of these people work in minimum wage jobs. It's very easy to convince apolitical people to be leftist. Absolutely. But when you said liberals versus conservatives, I was under the impression that that was a binary decision. I did not know that you were counting apolitical people as a separate distinction, which of course I think is the more target demographic.
Mm-hmm.
I would say apolitical people are more liberal, like social view wise. I would say that most people just
they might not
don't
even
care.
be. They're just all over the place.
Yeah, well, in my experience, a lot of people are like, they don't have these hard opinions. So they might be oh, trans people are icky, but that's probably because they never talked to a transgender person. They never really thought about it. So that's my thing. It's like, if you, like, it's different, like a conservative, like, I get death threats, people posting, like, addresses, people telling me that they're going to kill me when I sleep, right? And then I get people that say, oh, what gender are you? And it's a lot easier to, have a conversation with someone who's like, oh, what gender are you, than it is with someone who's saying, like, we need to murder all of your kind. And that's my thing. So, like, I don't necessarily think that the social values of apolitical people are more liberal, but I think that they have less convictions, I think, social value-wise, than conservatives do.
Right. I agree with that.
Anyway.
All right.
I'm hungry.
Thank you.
You hijacked my show, and I'm very upset. I'm actually extremely upset, and I'm going to sue you. So expect to hear from my lawyers very soon. And
all right, my lawyers will talk to your lawyers.
I will see about that. I've hired Sam Cedar to be my representation.
Oh shit! I always wanted to get into it with this guy. This is the perfect chance.
Are you going to represent
meet him
yourself?
In the courtroom. No, Jimmy Dore's going to represent me.
Oh, that's a shame.
He'll be my attorney.
Well,
I'm sure he could get Glenn Greenwald for me.
Well, we'll see about that. Anyway, thank you for talking. See, this is my thing, is even if I call you a dum-dum, I'm still willing to talk to you for 2 hours, because what the fuck else am I going to do?
Yeah, I got the feeling you would be much nicer in voice chat. And just so you know.
Yeah.
Maybe you're reading my text comments in like a mean, nasty voice, but I really try not to get too nasty.
That's possible. But anyway, you have to understand, when you came into my chat room, my computer was melting down. I was very on edge, so keep that in mind.
All right, cool.
All right, so thank you. And I'm going to stop ignoring the chat room because, man, these people need attention. So, all right,
cool. Yo, take care. Thanks for talking.
Thank you. Goodbye. Okay, so now that is over. Hello, users! I'm so sorry about that. I just, everything fell apart. And I was like, instead of, worrying about the computer, I'm just going to talk to someone and I can continue streaming. Doing that. And then, I won't have to worry about the fact that my computer was breaking down. So, impromptu, but it happens. It's fine. I wouldn't make any bold, declarative judgments. We all have our positions. Skeptical Mantis disagrees with me on a lot of things. He might disagree with you on a lot of things, but it doesn't make him a bad person. These people exist. I disagree with those that take Jimmy Dore very seriously. But they do exist, and it's important to talk to them. And it is true, that, maybe calling people dumb is putting people off, and that's factual. But my response to that is I don't care. So, that's my response. I just don't care. And I'm sure if you were to ask Sam Cedar, his response would also be that he doesn't care. But, again, I'm still willing to talk to anybody. Again, at the top of the stream, I accept all debate challenges. Right? It's a pretty oh shit, unknown story. I've only disagreed with one thing Andrea has said. What was it? Hello, BB. You had this on in the background while you shaved your legs and washed your hair? Love to see it. You better not say, unknown story, I swear to God, if you tell me that Mega Man X6 is not the best Mega Man X game, if that's where you're going with this, I'm not going to hesitate to ban you permanently. I will not for a moment's notice. I will not for a moment's notice. You like pumpkin pie. That's it. It's even worse. Anyway, will there be a gaming stream tonight? Was a question that was asked in the chat room that I registered in my brain, but I don't know who wrote it. Someone wrote that. Hello, Faith. Yes, Faith. I'm going to be doing Sunday Run Day today, which is the day where I play video games. I do speed runs, and I'm going to be doing that. So I'm sorry that today's show was a little sidetracked. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. It happened. I had stuff I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. That's fine. I'm willing to do tomorrow as long as my computer's not permanently busted. As long as that was a temporary thing, that's fine. For those wondering, I will give you the plate for tomorrow. I was going to talk about Guatemala and what happened there, but that just gives me more time to talk about it. I was also going to talk about there was protests at the ICE and DHS buildings in D.C. Last night, I believe. That was something I wanted to talk about. But again, I'll do all of this. I'll do all this tomorrow. I'm going to put this podcast on Anchor. Again, you can check this podcast out in audio form on Anchor. It will include, it's just, I'm not going to edit anything, so fuck that shit. It's going to be me screaming, and then it's going to be listening to Skeptical Mantis rant and rave for like an hour and talk over me. Which, you know, it happens. I'm used to being stepped on. I'm used to being mansplained. That's right. That's right. I'm pulling this card. Hold up. Let me find the card. Here we go. I'm pulling this card. I just had to get mansplained too. I'm pulling out the card. Check this out. Check this out. You see this? This is my PlayStation 2. I'm going to pull out the card. Look. See? I just pulled out the card. Boom. Boom. There you go. Pulled it out. Oh shit. Anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you. What time will I be streaming again? Anna, Aura, I will be streaming probably at 3 p.m. Eastern. So 2 hours from now. I would say 2 hours from now. So, whatever time it is for you, 2 hours from now. I will be back. I don't know what I'm going to do, but if you want to, you know, talk to me, whatever, we can do this. I'm going to be live all day. So, yeah. I'm going to be live all day. Oh, wait a second. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold the phone, everyone. Hold the phone. So you know the intro-outro music. You know the intro-outro music. I'm going to be playing, I just had this idea, I'm going to be playing Gubble today, the video game that the song comes from. If you want to listen to me play, if you want to listen to the song's game, or what, I'm sorry, I'm a little high right now, you know, whatever. Hold the phone.
I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is though? It's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's everybody else.
And by the way, I don't think that's some grand conspiracy. I think this is sort of what power is. I mean this at a sort of high level.
So stupid. So stupid. Thank you. Thank you. Bad deal. Should have never been thought of. And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint when they thought about it.
Dumb people, liberal people, 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 dumb people, liberal people. And he's like this, and we will, I need water, help me, I need water, help, water, help me, I need water, help. And this is on live television.
Good news is, for me, I'm here. The bad news for you is, I'm coming back.
Not good. Believe me, not good. Not good. Believe me, not good.
You know, the truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies, in a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was. In a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was. In a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was.
battle of righteousness versus Satan. Yes, Satan. Because these leftists are evil.